All right, we should be live right now with you guys at 1 minute in. It is myself and Tony Denaro, MEDIOCRE trader in the house, and we are live with you guys at 7:30 p.m. Steven, good evening. Tony, good evening. How you guys
How you
doing?
doing? I'm doing swell.
Good,
What
good.
a day. What a day.
What a day, huh? Tony Denaro said, "Let's go." Stevie, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, same old
All right.
stuff.
Like to see my
How's
man in
things with
there.
you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad to have all you guys. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I sent you guys an invite, and Tony and Steve got right back to me and said, "All right, let's go live tonight for our audience." We got almost 100 right now in the chat. Thank you guys. Let's say what's up to some people. Dufresne, good evening. Juicy, the deaf guy. Sufyan is in the house. Maximus, good evening. James Spurlock, Adam Franks, the deaf guy. Ron Johnson, Sergeant Beef, Spellbook 4941, Mike, and Gorilla Gardener. How's everyone doing tonight? So let me put someone else up here besides myself. Tony, we talked today about the close of the market. You went live earlier. Tell us about your day today. How'd your day go?
I had a busy day because I had 3 live streams, including market open, market close, and the Mullen shareholder meeting, which ended up being quite a fiasco because his mic kept cutting out. And on the key vote, Massalorian, there were 10 proposals. The key one for the reverse split, it was very hard to hear him unless you were paying really close attention. So I heard what he said and I tweeted it out as soon as it was done, but other folks misheard him. And so for an hour or more after that meeting, people thought that the reverse split was not approved and the stock started running up. And then if you listen to that incorrect information, you got rug pulled by the end of the day. So that was unfortunate. And I got called all sorts of names for putting out the correct information on time. So that was my day.
Stevie,
typical day. Typical day. You get called names for putting out facts. Welcome to my life.
True. Stevie, how was your day?
I had a good day. It was a pretty slow day in the market. Not a lot going on with our favorite stocks and stuff like that. I just kind of hung around and chatted with some people in the Discord, stuff like that. But I joined Tony's live stream. He was in the morning. His little morning show he did this morning was good. He's probably going to do it tomorrow as well. Hello, everybody in the chat. How you doing tonight?
Anya saying hey to Mediocre, myself and Tony. Anya, how you doing tonight? Say hi to Apes Blazing Does Stuff. The deaf guy, Sergeant Beef, Pam the trader. Good evening, Pam. How are you, love? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You're always here. I always count on you. Don't worry about
Anya,
it.
how are you?
Good evening, everybody. All right. So, T, you went live earlier, and it was an exciting day, but we didn't have much action. T, talk about just what earlier went down. Like, what would you say as the day overall, if you had to recap it?
I did not. Today was about Amazon. To be honest, we had a lot of earnings today. So that was the big one at the market close. In social media, there was a lot of fussing going on about threshold list, FTDs. Adam Aron put out that tweet. I don't know if you saw it, that he contacted FINRA and the NYSE about being on the threshold list again. Then immediately people started calling him a liar and saying, did he really do that? Which I get, nobody trusts him. But if CEO's saying he did something, obviously you could subpoena evidence for that, and people already are. Surprise, surprise. But but to go to just go straight out and start making videos calling him a liar when you've been asking him to do something and he does something, and then you say you're lying. Like, what is the fucking point of asking your CEO to do something if as soon as he does what you want, you call him a liar? Or that's just lip service. He literally delivered what people were, asking for. Maybe not to the extent that they wanted. But the funny way that story went today, since he said he contacted the NYSE, everybody took it upon themselves to contact the NYSE president, Lynn Martin, and ask her to do something about the threshold list. And she started blocking people on Twitter. And so that was kind of humorous. And then, as you guys may or may not know, by the end of the day, NYSE put out a statement. Just wanted to say, if you're wondering about a certain security that's on the threshold list, that's not really our thing. So go see the SEC, and here's their link. So they just passed the football off. They're like,
Pass
not
the
us.
buck.
Yeah, not us, bro. But the most irritating thing to me about the threshold list, Johnny, is all of these different entities could be failing on different days. And each time one of them fails, you get 5 more days on the list. So I could create a legitimate chain to where a ticker could be on the threshold list for months, right? Legally. But we don't know if it's legal or we don't know if it's illegal because they don't share the damn data. So I want to ask all of you, Mediocre, Johnny, anyone listening, to help spread the word that we need to continue to push Gary Gensler and the SEC for
Legislation.
transparency on the threshold list. We want to know who's failing, how many shares are they failing, when did they go on the list, when did they clear up those FTDs? Because it's not enough just to say 13 days you're on the list.
No.
You could have had 5 parties in those 13 days. And each one that comes on adds 5 days once they come on. So people need to understand how it works, first of all. But more importantly, we need transparency. So I'll get off my soapbox.
Go ahead, Stevie. Go ahead.
What are you going to say? Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, we need some transparency. I agree. I mean, that's what we're all here for, right? We're fighting the market corruption, and then that's part of it, right? Like, why are we always so behind on the information that we get? We need to be getting the same information that the big dogs are getting. That's just only fair is fair, right? So I agree with Tony. We need to make a way that we can see who's on the threshold list for how long and what reasons, and how many shares they got, whatever it may be. We need the information in a timely manner, right? Like, a lot of this information we get it's already late, 2 weeks behind schedule. A lot of the FINRA stuff, it's annoying.
Very.
Yeah, very. Steve, you said the best. It's annoying, right? It's annoying knowing all this is going on, and we're aware of it, right? We're taking account here. We're understanding what we're seeing. Everyone's aware of what's going on. This is a problem. All right, let's talk about and you guys know that we are all. Everyone here in this chat pretty much is an AMC shareholder. Let's get that out of the way, right? AMC closed the week, did okay for itself. Looking at the box office numbers from the month of July, and me and Tony talked about this a little bit yesterday in private. We discussed the numbers, and Tony said, just Mass, keep your your expectations realistic. And I said, yeah, you're right. Even though 3 billion is a great number for the month of July, which is the numbers we got back from the box office, which is great. T said, just keep in mind that we got the rest of the summer still. We got a whole nother month, and 4 billion is might be a high notch to try to get. And I saw Noisy Korax was talking earlier today about Adam Aaron and over leveraging himself back in 2019. Steve, you guys can fill in however you want. How do you guys feel about that? Do you feel like maybe before COVID was announced to the world, that Adam Aaron and ANC kind of over leveraged themselves right before the pandemic struck? I just want to know your opinions.
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, he was buying up at least 3 competitors, if I recall correctly, and he borrowed a lot of money to do that, right? And I think they were trying to make a play to be the dominant player of the industry, and that's how the debt ballooned prior to 2019. It was several years, like 2017 to 2019. He was buying, trying to become the big gorilla on the block, and then maybe crush the competition. But right after he did that, then COVID hit. So imagine buying all these assets, fully levering up your balance sheet, and then you get wiped to zero on income. That was the worst possible scenario.
Agreed. Steve,
But
what
all of that was done before COVID, and then COVID was just like popping the balloon that he had built. He needed 5-6 years of growing revenue, and on top of that, we had the streaming thing. So
Right.
fortunate
Yeah,
sequence of events.
bad timing. Bad timing. Yeah. Yeah.
Terrible
Steve,
timing.
Yeah.
It was not good. That put us way behind, and then COVID come along and just how are you going to pay your bills, man? Like he was already in debt, you know. I remember seeing him on part of the reason why I got into the play is because he was on CNBC talking about they were going to have to file bankruptcy in a week or something like that.
And to be fair, most of the competitors were in the same situation. Most of the big ones, with the exception of Cinemark, went bankrupt, right?
Yeah.
So he wasn't the only one that had a highly levered balance sheet.
Right.
But
important.
We have the worst because he was making a play to soak everybody up, everything he could, without getting in trouble with regulators for having a monopoly.
He seemed like he was on the cusp of creating a monopoly almost for AMC at that point, right? Like, I mean, we're talking about a theater company that was holding 70% of the screens in the United States. I mean, that's pretty much monopoly almost, right? He was. It seemed like his aims and intentions had the forethought to be great had COVID not come along, right? He was on the right path. Good.
Noisy Corax, I see him in the chat. He said, yeah, good point. Even NCMI, the ad company that supports all of these theaters, even they went bankrupt just recently. Like they're in bankruptcy right now. Noisy Corax is doing us all a favor of covering that lawsuit or that bankruptcy. Sorry.
Hey, Corax. I see Corax in the chat. Yes.
I think everybody unfairly focuses on Adam Aaron because they're in this play, but let's be real. The entire industry got whacked in 2020, and we're this teetering giant, and somehow we've managed to make it to 2023. We all know the somehow, right? Because they got that big cash raise and nobody else did in 2021 from retail investors. But we're, as you know, I don't want to beat a dead horse. The cash is starting to run out.
We're getting down there, right?
We're getting down there. We're not in risk of next week, right? But we're quarters away.
And T, when we talked earlier, when we had said about AA, that basically he's been asking for this capital since 2021.
That is an excellent point.
Yeah, let's not be fooled on what Adam Aaron's intentions have been since June of 2021 or May or April when he went on live with Trey and he talked to us about smart dilution, right, T? Stevie, you remember this, right? Remember those conversations? Yeah. And all of us said, no way in hell, don't you dare do it. Don't you dare dilute right now. And that is a decision we are dealing with right now. Our decision back then to not allow.
I think I know for myself, I voted no back then, no to dilution, because we had a lot of money in the bank and we all wanted to squeeze. But at some point, that piper comes, you got to pay the piper. And we said no, and we did not allow them to raise cash. And
I said no as well.
2 years have gone by, and now we're running out. So we're once again, do we say no and let them run out of cash? Or do we say yes, and it's going to suck for retail when they dilute, but the company doesn't file bankruptcy, which nobody wants bankruptcy. That will wipe all of us out.
By the way, T, you want to fill everyone in on what happened with Cinemark in the last couple of days? You want just real quick what you discovered?
Cineworld or Cinemark?
Cineworld, sorry. Yeah, Cineworld, sorry.
Well, I think everybody knows Cineworld filed bankruptcy, and they went through the process, and then they just came out of it. Chapter 11 this week. Chapter 11 allows you to reorganize the debts. It's a lender in possession. The lenders got the company. So all the common stock was wiped to zero. The lenders came up with a deal to wipe $4.5 billion of debt off the books. And then they re-extended the company $1.7 billion in new loans so that they could start fresh. So Now we have our number 2 competitor coming back in the game, lean and clean, and we're still this teetering giant with all this debt. And so that does worry me a little bit too, even though Cinemark sucks.
I mean, that can happen to us, Tony. There's no doubt about it.
Like that. Yeah.
I don't feel super comfortable having our number 2 competitor now having a clean balance sheet and being more nimble. And we're still stuck dragging on all this debt. So
I don't want to see bankruptcy because that wipes all of us out. I'm just going to tell everybody that right now.
Sorry, guys. I'm going to crank up this light real quick. There we go.
Blazing says bankruptcy is what will cause the MOAS, though.
Oh, man.
I Noisy Corax said, I would also point out that there is also the issue of 242B, in parentheses. Aaron seemed to have felt he had the yes votes, but not enough by Delaware law. That's from Noisy Corax. Just put that in the comment
That's
section.
back in 2021, right? We talked about that earlier today. I think he's talking about 2021. Adam Aaron, he often said we had the yes votes were winning in 2021, but he didn't have 50% of the shareholders. You got to have 50% show up, and he wasn't getting enough people voting, and they can see the votes as they're coming in, and he knew he wasn't going to get 50% of shareholders to vote, so he yanked it. Now a lot of people like to twist that. Why did he pull it? Because he knew he wasn't going to have half the shareholders show up.
Right.
And so why embarrass himself? Even if he was going to get a yes, if only 10% of you vote, it's a fail. Even if it was a yes, even if the yeses were winning, that's why he yanked it.
Just so the chat knows, Hilsey is saying, hey, my love to Diaz. Just in case anyone didn't see it in the chat, I just want to enunciate.
Now we have
great point.
We have the new Delaware law that just went in effect 2 days ago. They don't need half the shareholders to show up anymore. So at any point, if this lawsuit falls apart or gets denied and the judge says on that March thing, I think that there's probably some way based on the new Delaware law that they could, and we got an annual shareholder meeting coming up, they could push out another vote to shareholders, and now he doesn't need half of us. He doesn't need a Antara deal. He just needs a majority of whoever shows up to vote that day. If 1,000 people show up to vote and 501 say yes to a reverse split, it's done.
Good point.
So that's a big change, and that doesn't just affect AMC. That affects all your plays, everything you're in, if it's a Delaware corporation.
For sure. Diana says, if I were AMC, I would just pay Allegheny $10 million for their time, drop it, then just revote under the new law. Get this done by October 15th, should Q3 solid earnings. Diana, I don't know how Q3 solid earnings are going to be, but I think Q2 are going to be better than Q3. T, can we agree upon that, at least as of we're looking at it right now? And Steve, you can step in at any moment, mediocre. Do you agree that I think Q2 is going to be a little better than Q3, or are we off on that?
I took a peek at my model in the afternoon live stream. And as we know, Barbenheimer just blew our socks off, right? It brought in way more than I was anticipating.
And Sounds of Freedom, T. 140 million.
It's brought in more than Mission Impossible Sound of Freedom.
Right.
So I'm loving all of that. And July was way better than I was forecasting Q3 at 1.9 billion, which we already did $1 billion in July. So I think there's a chance we could get 2 to 2.4 billion now for Q3, which would be close, which would be only a minimal loss to break even. But I'll know more. I'll know more if that number is correct once I see how good my model was for Q2, which is predicting a positive quarter. So I might need to adjust it. We'll see.
But overall, I would say we are pretty much exceeding expectations at this point for the summer. If we're talking about a $4 billion summer, I don't think anyone else had that expectation in the beginning, knowing everything we know now. And if you don't let me mind, can I just play a quick clip for you guys of something I pulled up earlier?
Yeah.
Which I thought was crazy, but it's important. All right, hold on.
Let's go.
Because this is something I noticed while I was coming across country. Do I have it uploaded here? No, I'll have to upload it. Hold on. Go ahead and keep talking. I'll upload it to my video. Go ahead.
Yes. Sound of Freedom came out about 9 days before Mission Impossible. So it has a 9-day head start, but so far it's brought in more domestic box office than Mission Impossible, if you can believe that. And people are complaining that it was suppressed, which is, you know, another one of those conspiracy theory bullshit.
And I'm gonna separate that from the real conspiracies, because there are conspiracy theories out there that have come very true in the past, but this is the one that I see being a little different than everything else, because at least Adam Aaron had the guts to take on Angel Studios and their promotion of this movie, where Disney had it for 5 years, and Warner Brothers or 20th Century Fox, whoever it was, who decided to shelf it for 5 years. I'll give all the credit in the world to Angel and AMC for finally letting it out to the public and raising the awareness that there is more slavery going on right now in the world than at the height of the Atlantic slave trade.
We do know that there are some crazy people out there, though, and there might be some crazy employees at certain locations of all movie theaters that don't want that movie shown, that could be turning off AC units, right? But the company itself, the CEO, they got accolades from Angel Studios.
They did. They did. From the producer, from the production house, from the director, everybody gave AMC and Adam Aaron many accolades for taking this on, even knowing that a major production house like Disney refused to go through with it for 5 to 7 years, however long it was on the shelf, right? Bottom line, gotta give them a little credit for that.
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm interested in seeing it. I don't like watching stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's not that
it will turn your stomach, Steve. It will turn your stomach.
The problem I have.
Yeah.
That's why I don't want to see it, to be honest. But not that I don't want to support it. Like, I'll buy a ticket, but I don't know if I can watch that shit. Because it truly is a problem worldwide, but here in the United States as well.
And Stevie, the saddest thing is we're the biggest consumer of child pornography in the world, which to me was the most eye-opening statistic when you look at it from an American's perspective. We're supposed to be here as the West, the high and mighty. You know, we are.
How does that happen in this country? Like, how does that happen with the laws that we have? It's crazy.
It is, but it's happening. I mean, look at the border policy, which has allowed 40,000 children to go missing from the border with no way to relocate them or find out where they are since 2020. It's a major problem, and I'm glad that there was attention brought to it, and I'm glad it was done through the movie theaters, because really the movie theaters are a great platform to announce some type of dehumanization that's going on the planet, whatever you want to bring to the forefront. The movie theater is a great place to announce that, right? Besides the mainstream media. And the fact that the mainstream media wouldn't take it up, and the fact that they denounced the film after its release, tells me everything I need to know about the mainstream media. And that's fine. They can stay with those facts, and they can stay with those things as long as they like. All I know is most people out there who saw that would say, this is wrong and we need to do something about it. And the more money that this country puts into protecting children over anything else, then I'm all for it, right? Put every single dollar you can into this industry of protecting children, because they are the future of this country, basically. That's it. Without them, there is no USA, there is no UNI, there is no stock market, there's nothing. If we don't have a future for the children, you can forget about anything else changing.
Mm-hmm.
Let me hit a couple questions here real quick. Sparky says, what about the YouTubers who put out videos saying a young Goldman analyst was murdered by hedgies? There was a guy, I think he was in New York, that was found floating in the water. And look, when the Goldman 175 target came out, I spent the better part of a day and into the next day in my free time trying to find. Normally when an analyst puts out a price target, you can find a press release. There was no press release. There was no analyst that I could find covering AMC from Goldman in the past couple of years anyways. And there was also no evidence that young gentleman, rest in peace, put out that price target. And it is disappointing to me, as always, that these clickbaiters covering AMC and any stock will stop at nothing for views, lying to their audience, and provide zero evidence. And I wish people would be better. There was zero evidence of that. And if you have a press release from Goldman with that guy's name on it, please send it to me. But I asked that on Twitter 2 days ago and nobody sent me anything.
Diaz says, I agree with mediocre. Backyard Boogie says, the AMC is important, but come out country is falling apart. It is, right, T? And I've noticed that since I've made this trip leaving Boston. And Steve, to you too. I mean, you're from the same stretch of the woods I am. And maybe you haven't got to see this view that I have of the country, but you know, we got a lot of problems going on in the stock market, but we got a lot of problems going on in the country too. And you know, Steve, I'm sure if you were taking the same trip I am, and Tony, for you too, if you were taking the same trip I have and seeing what I've seen over the last 3 weeks, you would probably be harmonial with the same sentiment, right? I believe you guys would, because you're pretty optimistic and you're also very intelligent. This whole thing, like, to me, this reeks of an administration that has failed its people. At least in the last 24 months, we've seen a major decline within every aspect of you know, the economical lives of Americans. It's across the board. It's hurting every different demographic that you can imagine. And you know, we're gladful to be here in a position that we are, talking about a meme stock that, you know, we're basing some aspirations on, and hopefully some things will happen. But guys, I just want to keep your heads, you know, let's stay in reality as far as what's coming up with the play. I want you guys to stay locked into what the different options for you are, whether you're going to exit this play or you're going to stay in. Make sure your head is in the game right now, because we're talking about your financial security and your financial future.
I think we're going to talk more about that and take some of your questions in this live stream. But I saw someone asking earlier about the debt to equity ratio and the income of AMC relative to the cost. Guys, if you've been watching our channels for the last 4, 5, 6 months, Massalorian, we've been the only ones providing that information, and it's not great news. And I wish all the fucking clickbaiters, I wish you'd go ask them that question. Ask them what the working capital looks like of AMC. It's negative $1 billion. Ask them what the debt to equity ratio is. It's negative. They can't understand, how is this company talking about going bankrupt? It's in black and white in the financial statements. It's very obvious, but none of these clickbaiters want to talk about that. So you don't need to ask us about that here. We're painfully aware of it, as is all of our audience. These people are in tune, everybody watching tonight. It is the dozens of other clickbait channels who only want to focus on short interest and threshold list that are obscuring what is really going on with this company and why you should be. You know, you can't invest in something and hold it for 2 years and be ignorant of the finances of the company. You are going to get wrecked if you ignore the finances of a company you're holding that long.
And I believe that the short interest on AMC is going to continue to rise. Yes, my opinion. It's going to continue to rise, and I don't.
Because why? Because they know the financial status.
Why would you let off the gas? They know that they got AMC over a barrel because of the financials, right? If it can't make any money, it's going to go bankrupt, and that's ultimately what they want.
Let's be 100% honest right now. The 90% of the reason right now AMC is staying afloat is because of retail. Because we decided to step in and back up this company. Had it not been for us, AMC would be in the same boat as Cinemark and everybody else. So let's not dismiss the fact that we've definitely helped this company achieve things that pretty much no one thought was possible, right? That's why the shorts attacked it so heavily, was because they thought there was no chance for this team to come back. And regardless of what you think of Adam Aaron, he has brought us back from the brink of bankruptcy to where we are right now. So you got to give him credit for that, right? If nothing else, we have to give him credit for that.
I
Stevie,
hear you,
me and you met him face to face, right? Steve, we were together. Yeah. We met him face to face. Yeah.
Did you get a bad feeling when you met him?
We had him sitting on the desk right here.
Yeah. He was very generous. I feel like Steve, he was very generous with your time. And Steve, if you agree with me, when I went up to approach him, it was the last person that spoke to him, correct? The last person in line. So I said, hey, Mr. Aaron, I know you're probably exhausted. Just do me a favor. You don't need to talk tonight, but could I sometimes call and talk to you on the road, talk about a few things? I try to play it as respectable as I could with the CEO of a major corporation like that with a $2 billion float on his insurance. So okay. But yeah, I mean, and Steve, I think we were very respectable, and he answered Steve's question. Steve asked him very poignant questions I thought were important, right? And he did, Steve, right? So I don't know, Stevie, what did you get from it? Because my interaction with him was so short and brief. I was kind of thinking about what I was going to say instead of paying attention to what you were doing. How would you categorize
Well,
your interaction with AA?
well, hindsight's 2020. Knowing what I know right now, I understand what he was there for, there to do. You know what I mean? And it's different from what I thought when we went there. That's a big part of it, right? Like, and then when I relook at the questions that I asked him, I understand his answers more, right? To be fair, I'll say, like, I asked about dividends, right? Like, how is he going to give us dividends? There's no chance of a dividend. You know what I mean? Maybe
Not if we're not making a profit.
exactly. So maybe 2025 if we're lucky, 2024, depending on, you got the writer strike and all that. So I don't know. It's interesting.
Okay.
All that whole dividend debacle there that everybody wanted. I wish we could get a dividend, right? But that's not going to happen because we don't have them. We don't have money. We're losing money every quarter. But not this quarter. We had a great quarter. I'll be honest. We had a good quarter, but we're losing money every quarter. And if you at the end of the year, if you didn't make a profit and you're running in the black, where's that money coming from? It's the money from the last time we were diluted, the $200 billion. That's where it's at. So we're spending that money to stay afloat. How long can we do that for? That's the question.
How long is that sustainable? Yeah. Right.
Exactly.
Right. Yep. Lorne says, if Zurn approves the settlement and there is an immediate appeal, can AMC proceed, or do we have to wait another 6 months for this bullshit? Can anybody answer that as a testimonial for a legal advisor? Is it possible we could possibly be in this until December of 2023?
I think it depends on how fast he can put through the conversion after she makes her opinion.
Do you guys feel as though, let me ask you this, because I've heard a lot of people talk about this, the CBDC, this whole controversy about that. Do you feel like that has any bearing on AMC at all? Anywhere in this equation?
Well, I don't.
I know you don't. Steve, what do you think? I should have said, besides Tony.
I mean,
yeah, Stevie, what do you think?
I mean, I'm not a whole lot sure what they're going to do at the corporate level with that. But as far as a person, I don't want it. So I'm totally against that whole deal. But, I think they're trying to use it with businesses, with banking. I don't know if that'll help them or hurt them. I really couldn't tell you.
By the way, when did Twitter switch to X? Because I just went to go on Twitter today, and all of a sudden, the new app said X. Did that just happen in the last 48 hours or so?
In the last week.
The last week? Oh, Mass is behind the 8 ball, apparently. Sorry, folks. Sorry, folks. Let's say hey to some people in the chat. I see Pam in the chat. Hayden, how you doing tonight? Hilsey, Necessary Truths. Doc Zeno, how are you tonight? My friend Dan Spencer is here. Censored. Mark Mikes. Beverly is in the chat. Adam Franks and Super Steven says Massalorian high energy tonight. Listen, we are hopefully on the precipice of a place you've never been before. Look, I'm with all of you guys. I've been holding this goddamn stock for 2.5 years. Like you, like Stevie, like Tony, like everybody probably in this chat who all want this to be done with. We are all looking for an exit strategy, and everyone's putting together their best case scenario for how this will go down. And I think it's important that everyone get on here and be able to express that opinion so you can hear it and you can make your own decisions. That's important. Dialogue is important between the Bears and the Bulls.
Yeah, not even Bears and Bulls, but like even if you're bullish on the company, there are different ways to exit the play. And you should be able to talk about them in an honest dialogue.
Yes. Agreed. Yeah, Tony. Great point. Great point. And Steve, you agree with that, right? There is an exit strategy for everyone. And we could talk about all the different types of exit strategies that are out there, and everyone can pick their own, right? We know what the possibilities are.
I think everybody should already have their exit strategy or be close to getting their exit strategy ready. Mine is already set. No matter what happens, I have an exit strategy. I don't know. I mean, I think people could. There's a lot of information that people should be going over. You know, I look for myself. I don't really pressure anybody to do anything or whatever. I barely even talk about what I did because it's nobody's business what I do in my position. But I will say I do have an exit strategy handy. I think everybody should.
With that said, everybody should. Yeah, exactly, Steve. Everyone should. Everyone be aware of what's going on right now in the market. Everyone be aware of what's going on right now in your government. Everyone be aware of what's going on right now in everything, commodities, everything. Be aware of what's going on. Know your surroundings. Be ready for it. Yuka, thank you, man. Love you. Yuka's in the house. Daniel says, I think Adam fumbled. Daniel, how do you think that? You want to elaborate on that? Philip says, good evening, everyone. I think only the parties to the transaction can appeal. If they agree, there will be no appeal. Is that true, T? Do you know?
Say that again.
Steve? Philip said, good evening, everyone. I think only the parties to the transaction can appeal. If they agree, there will be no appeal. That's correct, right?
Yeah,
if
but
they agree on a settlement.
Said she's going to appeal.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, there's going to be people who appeal the people who don't want it to see it go forward.
Doc agrees with me. Doc Zeno says CBDC has no bearing on AMC. Stevie or T, you can elaborate on this. Do you think that anyone out there saying that they're going to use CBDC to pay us is remotely possible? That's how they would use CBDC.
You'd have to agree to use
terms,
the CBDC.
right?
They can't just, they just can't come out and create CBDC and force. They'd have to force all of the United States to use it, I believe. But what do I know? You know what I mean?
We're just dumb traders. We're just dumb retail traders. Look, we're bucking the system just like everybody else here, right? We're all bucking the system. Me, Tony, Stevie, we are all doing our best to make this fair for the retail investor because we're all retail investors. Every one of us in the chat right now probably holds AMC and GME, if not at least AMC and APE. We're all trying to do what's best for everyone else, but there are going to be complications that come up in between, and we're dealing with them as they come along. And the best we can do is speculate with a little bit of optimism. And if you can't handle that, there's other channels to go through. There's other people that are be out there giving you good news, but we're going to bring you the facts, like Stevie is doing with his silver.
Masks.
What are you doing?
This is just a regular old quarter. Just physical
cash?
currency. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Just a quarter that's sitting on my desk.
Makes sense. Maggie, good evening. Dr. McLovin, how you doing tonight? Z-Wade Photo says, what's up, everybody? Thought I'd pop in and say hi to handsome bastards on this panel. No FOMO. Love you, man. Paul, good evening. How you doing tonight? Beta, Jennifer Moffat, Diana Guest is in the house. Diana says, my exit strategy is when I make a shit ton of money, LFG. All right. Hey, listen, we all want to make a shit ton of money. I don't think there's any denying that. That's what we all got in this play for. Now, when is that going to happen? That's a whole different story. We can talk about that another night. All right, getting back to this video. Can I put this up real quick now that it's uploaded to us? I just want to show you guys what happened the other night. Hang on 1 second. Because this just in my mind is just unacceptable. Okay, hold on. Here we go.
Barbara Fisher worried about her husband every time he left for work at the Showplace Icon Theater in the South Loop.
But he loved the job, and whenever they called him, whatever shift it was, he just went.
Recently, she says his work became more and more dangerous. Fisher was beaten back in February for enforcing the theater's new rules. No guests under the age of 17 can enter without a parent or guardian after 6 p.m. It's a rule a staff member tells CBS 2 began after they saw an increase in disruptive young adults at that location.
I said, this is what you need to do. Go to work and just leave the teenagers alone. He said, but I can't do that because like I'm getting paid and not doing my job. So it costed him his life.
Saturday, police sources say a group of teens visited the theater. 72-year-old Fisher was again doing his job. He tried to escort them away. He suffered some sort of medical episode and was taken to the hospital where he later died. The medical examiner has not released the official cause of his death.
So it's devastating.
Staff at the theater was not able to speak to us on camera. We've contacted their corporate office for a response to this. We've also reached out to Chicago police to see if there's been any arrests or movement in either of these attacks. There has not been. In the newsroom, Sabrina Franza, CBS 2 News.
Sabrina, thank you.
Unbelievable. We can't hear you.
I said I don't want you guys to think this is an isolated incident. It's been happening for months, if not years now. This has been going on. This is going to continue. As long as these woke DAs are in these cities and are not prosecuting for these crimes, this will continue. And this will have an effect on the box office. Make no mistake about it going forward. So when you think about 2024, when you think about 2025, understand the things we're seeing happening right now will continue and will escalate as time goes on and prosecution continues to not want to prosecute. Understand that when you're investing in a stock. That's all. Sorry. But that's reality. Somebody talk.
Oh, I'm here.
All right, Steve,
I'm in
you
the
go.
back taking care of some stuff.
What do you think? I mean, am I off base here or I mean, if this is happening right now, I just think about the repercussions of this spanning across the country, right? This happens in one theater, it progresses, and look, we've already seen theaters shut down because there is not enough foot traffic because of these hoodlums and the mob mentality of some of these big inner cities. This has to be a serious concern for retail investors of AMC, no matter how you slice it. Hate to say it, but it is.
I was talking with some viewers in the UK, and they were complaining about people being uncivil, being on their phone, being noisy. And he, if I, any of us in the chat experience that. In my local area, I don't, but I think it is city specific.
City specific to? Yeah.
Like if you're in a certain city, I think I mentioned him like Detroit, Chicago, New York, you might have a rougher crowd in the theaters. We've all seen the fights, right? The fight videos in theaters. People fighting, adults fighting in a kids movie.
Yeah, at Little Mermaid. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sad. And just remember this, because we're all invested in a stock where it takes asses in seats to make money. So if you're going to turn a profit, you have to be able to draw in a crowd, right? Where we are in an industry, the movie industry, that needs to attract in customers to its base in order to generate a profit. And if we're not doing that, we're in trouble as shareholders. And if Adam Aaron isn't trying to continue to make that company prosperous, we are also in trouble as shareholders. So we got to back the CEO as long as we feel like he's being 100% honest and only taking what is allotted to him and nothing more, and doing the best with that profit, that money that he's being allotted to make the company better, to improve its financials, improve its bottom line, and make it profitable again. Lloyd says Mass has gone total QAnon nut job. Really? I'll tell you this, Lloyd. I just went across the entire United States, and I've never seen so much misery in my life. There is misery all over this country, like you wouldn't believe. Well, go ahead, Stevie.
This is a serious question because I'm unsure what exactly is QAnon, anyways.
So as far as I know, QAnon is a far-right conspiracy group that assimilated basically on 4chan and has promoted some type of against the deep state. So they're versus the deep state. They are anti-establishment. They are like the top conspiracy nuts theorists out there, as far as I'm aware of. I can't really give them another title than that, but from what I've ascertained from learning about them over the last 3 or 4 years, they seem to be a conspiracy group that sometimes gets things right and sometimes gets things wrong. For example, they yelled and screamed in the halls of Congress back in 2020 that Marjorie Taylor Greene was a nut job for saying there were space lasers coming from Israel. But now we find out there are space lasers. They're coming from DARPA, and they're used to animate 3D objects in the night sky. So as much as people want to sit there and say it's conspiracy, and she's a nut and she's everything, some of these things are true. They're happening. Whether or not they elaborate on the facts is a different story, but some of these things are happening. We just might be not correct on exactly defining what we are seeing, in my opinion. Nunn says, you guys drinking? Just a little bit, Nunn. You guys drinking? T, you drinking, Stevie?
I'm drinking water.
All right. Finally, for once, Tony's trading water and Steve are trading water for whiskey with Johnny. This has got to be a first.
I'm still on my fat cutting phase.
Okay. Anya says she is a nut. I thought so too, Anya, right? When they start talking about space lasers and all this, and then come to find out, oh, they are using space lasers? Okay, weird. I mean, look, if you had told me back in 2020 that Bill Gates was holding $500 million in options for Pfizer and was coming out telling everyone they need to take the jab, I would have said, oh, that's crazy. There's no way that's possible. But guess what? That happened. He made $500 million off of Pfizer. So on options calls. So as much as you don't want to hear it, it does happen from time to time. From time to time. BSKA says it started on 4chan where everyone is an anon, meaning anonymous. Hold on. Q is the question because it's a message board where people would ask questions and get answers. There you go, Stevie. That's the best. That's a good definition for you, right? Anon was the anonymous part of it. Q for the questionable part of it because it's a message board. That makes sense, I guess. Daniel says we'll never win. Daniel, why are you so pessimistic, man? You don't think that this community is strong? I do. Look how many people in the chat right now. We have almost 350 people live at midnight on East Coast time. I think this movement is very powerful. I don't agree with you on that. We'll never win. I think we're the biggest pushers of fundamentals and no nonsense that you can find in this sphere. Mass has a red laser behind this chair, says Andrew Morgan. Do I? I have a red laser?
You've got red something.
Let me make sure. Oh, that's a what is that? Hold on. It's a like a salt rock. It's supposed to be like for good vibes or something. I don't know. Don't ask. Just for the background.
Good vibes.
Yeah, good karma. Look, I've gotten a lot of good karma on this trip. I'm not gonna lie. There are certain times I've been in positions I thought I'd never get out of, and man, I just cruised on through. I don't know who was on my shoulder, but somebody was there watching me this whole time. Somebody watching my back. So thank you, God. Whoever that was. Let's see. Q and Anya says Q comes from the guy who started all. Anya, how you doing tonight? Anya says Q comes from the guy who started the whole QAnon. It refers to his security clearance. Oh, I didn't know that. Is that what that's what Q comes from? His security clearance?
I got no idea,
man.
I hear it all the time.
I don't either.
I just pay no mind to it because I don't know what it is. I'm still trying to find out.
Pam, how do you know I'm not in Cali? How do you know? How do you know where I am? I love Thai food. Tommy is in the house. Tom Yokun says, we just happen to put our money in the largest money center in the world. We are finding out what has been going on for the past 100 years. We are young with money, making money, and we are noobs at the table. So, Tom, T and Steve attest to this. They're talking about the greatest transfer of wealth ever in human history, right? From the boomer generation down to the Gen X / millennials. Have you guys heard about that?
Once or twice, yep.
Okay. Once or twice. But that money is going to go somewhere, T, right? So as we are all sitting here thinking about the future and the future of the economy and whether or not it's going to be a recession and where to put our money, should we be thinking about some of those things like this whole transfer of the wealth? That this is going to be a big part of the economy going forward for the United States. Don't you guys think?
I think it's going to go to a lot of good causes, except paying off student loans.
Yeah. Go ahead, elaborate.
Oh, he just went there.
I ain't got no money, so hopefully it goes
You're
my
not paying
way.
for anyone's student loans, T?
I don't have any unpaid student loans. No, I don't have any student loans.
I do not.
I still owe student loans. I still have a debt to student loans. They haven't let me off the hook yet. JT Wisco says, did Mass make it back to Boston? JT Wisco, I'm on the West Coast, man. I was in Wisconsin, though. I was in Kenosha with you guys for 3 days. And it'll be in my video when it's done.
Are you going to start like adopting a West Coast accent?
No, T, I can't. It's impossible. I can't get rid of this Boston accent. No matter what I do, where I go, everyone always says when I walked up to the hotel clerk or room cleaning or someone at Amtrak the last couple of days or weeks, they've known I was from Boston right away.
I just want to know where you parked the car.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. I'm like, I'm on the train, asshole. And park my car anywhere. Let's see who else is in here. Beta BSKA says they were 4chan messages from someone who definitely had inside knowledge. Oh, okay. Inside knowledge of government agency. I think people assume it was someone with high level of security clearance. I think a lot of people suggested that in the beginning, right? Because some of the things were so the premonitions that came from Q seemed to match up with reality, but I don't know. What do you guys? T, do you ever know anything about Q? I really don't know that much about them. Do you?
About
QAnon?
QAnon?
Yeah.
No.
Me neither.
I mean,
Stevie, anything to add?
Not to speak about them at length. No.
No, me neither. Stevie, anything on QAnon?
I don't know anything about them, honestly. I hear stuff all the time, but I don't know nothing about them.
Yeah, me neither, man. Me neither. I really don't know enough to dive into it to try to say one way or the other. David, how you doing tonight? Dave Massaro is in the house, says, hello, Mass. I see Hilsey here. Hilsey, say hi to Diaz for me. First Wave Crypto says, I think Q is Al. That's a possibility. That wouldn't shock me. If Q was Al, that wouldn't shock me. Jared Lighting says they are on the dark web. New Now Y'all says Q is made up of a racist peeps. Why do you say that? No, y'all. What is racist about Q's message? I'm just curious. I want to know. I'm trying to learn. Massalorian could give Trey a run for his money tonight. Super Steven says. You think, Steve?
Oh man.
Shit. That's one hell of a call. That. Thank you, sir.
Just turn that lamp on, lamp off a few times behind you.
Yeah. Diaz says, I have a printing machine like Powell. I print what I need. I'd like to see that. Philip says, QAnon believes that Trump will save the world from child molesters. That is the main premise. That's the main premise of Q? I hope it's more than that. I realize that's a problem, but I hope it's more than that. Look, our democracy is no longer intact. I don't know if anyone else has realized that yet, but let's be 100% honest. Let's be completely honest here. We no longer have a democracy. We are barely holding on to a constitutional republic right now. And the fact that retail traders have no influence over the stock market is a problem with the Bill of Rights. Because we're not being allowed our basic freedoms as Americans if we can't trade on supply versus demand. Right? That's what the market is based off. If you look back to the 1600s and go all the way back to the Netherlands when they were doing the trades of the tulips, the supply and demand was the way that they were able to figure out price action. And unless we get back to that basic and fundamentals, look, it's fine to throw meme stocks in there, right? And you can have rallies on bullshit, and you can have what's the word? Not real, like I can't think of the word right now, but you can have price action that's not based off anything fundamental that can be moved by sentiment. I get that, right? I totally understand that. But we need to start talking more about fundamentals. As time goes on, when it comes to stocks, and we're talking about reality, you need to look at the fundamentals and the bottom line of companies when you are investing. No bullshit.
You mean we gotta look at more than the threshold list, Mass?
I mean, T, we do, right?
I'm just
PDs
saying,
and all that stuff, right?
I saw people on Bed Bath & Beyond live streams popping champagne every night if they were still on the threshold list while it was dropping 10, 9, 8, 6, 3, 1, 30 cents. They're celebrating being on the threshold list. Like, wake the fuck up.
I know.
You got to look at more than that.
Let me ask you guys about something real quick because we're all in here right now. And we've all talked about this in the past. So let's bring it up again. And I know you guys all have different opinions, but let's talk about Judge Zurn's decision. So T, I know you went live today. You went up right till the end of the market close, right? At 4:30? And nothing, right?
Past market close.
Okay. So T, are you anticipating in the next, let's say 48 hours, a decision coming down? You were anticipating it today. Obviously, you went live. You didn't do that for
No, I did not go live because I was anticipating Zurn.
Okay.
I just had a lot of people been asking for lives, and I'm anxious to get back to doing them during the market hours once I have all the drama people blocked. That's kind of what we're working through. So I told MEDIOCRE on Sunday that I expected Zurn's decision this Friday.
Yes, he did.
Market close.
And I said,
you're on day 3, right? You're on day 3. That's what I heard. That's a rumor.
Every day.
But if I listen to Chancery Daily, she's saying expect much later than this week. So I have no clue.
Oh, so you got in touch with her again? She came back. And answered you?
She posted an update on her blog.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
she says we're being too optimistic, expecting a quick opinion from Zurn.
Tony, would you ever block Maggie? No, right?
Oh my God.
That's what I said. I said,
why would anybody block Maggie?
I don't know, because I was going to say, me and Tony talked earlier, and he said that someone had blocked Maggie, and I go, oh my God, Maggie? I'm like,
I don't block anyone
Maggie?
unless they're being, assholes to either someone on the show or someone in the chat. Other than that, there's any fair questions.
Yes. I definitely will not put Maggie in that category.
No,
Maggie is a big backer of retail. Yeah, absolutely.
Maggie, if you can't answer hard questions, then why are you live streaming? You're just running filtered media.
How about if you can't answer any comments? Like, why are you shutting your comments off in the first place? Whether you decide to leave them on or not is one story. But if you're deciding to shut them off entirely, one thing if you don't read them, but to close them completely is always going to make me suspect of any channel. And I hope YouTubers understand that. Like, that is a big red flag for anyone. And if you're still watching one of the channels that doesn't allow comments, whether they read them or not, it's important to understand where these people are coming from. They might not have your best interest in mind. Andrew says, this case has been absolute clown show. Just make a decision already. Steve, do you guys feel like it's been a clown show? What are your thoughts, T?
I think I wish it would happen already. Just make the decision. Either way, people are going to be upset no matter what you decide. It's divided. And but the best interest of the company to prevent bankruptcy is for the decision to go through, right? Like, that's fundamentally, that is what is best for the company, whether people want to hear it or not, or they believe in, the short squeeze only, ride or die, whatever. But some people have a lot more invested in a play than they probably should, or maybe they can't afford to lose everything they got. They went all in, or whatever the circumstances that somebody may have, right? So to ask somebody to lose their livelihood over something that's not a guarantee is crazy, right? I mean, I'm not telling anybody to do anything. I'm just saying the information should be readily available to people, and it is. Like, I mean, it's out there. The judge put it out. AMC put it out. I don't know what to tell people, right? Like, information is there. People should research and do their own due diligence and protect your position at all costs, regardless of what you decide to do with your money is your business, period. End of story. And nobody should have any say in what you choose to do with your money. And that's
100%.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm going to say something that I said at my market close live stream. The company needs to raise money. They've been telling us since 2021 that they want to raise money. They are going to get their way eventually. And that is why, like Mass, you and me have been telling people what we think is going to happen so that you can make the appropriate decisions for your portfolio. Now, if you want to think that they're not ever going to raise money, then I guess you're banking on bankruptcy, and you're free to do that. I have no problem with anyone that wants to do that. But for my audience, I got to tell them what I think is likely to happen. So people have had months to plan for it if you're listening to the right people. And if we're incorrect, you might get a small pop in the stock, and then the shorts are going to attack the hell out of it because the company has no access to reasonable capital without selling an 8 for 65 cents again.
That was nice. That made me happy.
Yeah, I bet. If you got in, yeah. Of course. Lizzie says, right, White House turned comments off, and so did World Economic Forum because they didn't care what you think. All right, you guys, can I play a quick clip from you from earlier today? This is from PBD's podcast. I just want to play it real quick and talk about it, what you guys think about it. Do you guys mind if I play it?
Not at all.
T, you okay, Stevie? All right.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm just curious what your thoughts are on this. This has all to do with BlackRock and their leverage over the rest of us. Here we go.
Have you looked at, Larry Fink, Soros, State Street, Vanguard, BlackRock? How much have you looked at what they're doing and what their ties are?
I've looked at it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They're pretty much running everything.
Yeah.
S&P 500, the number that 88% of the companies on S&P 500, 88% of them, the largest shareholder of those companies is either State Street, BlackRock, or Vanguard. 88% of them, okay? And then you see their influence in defense contracts, okay? So we went through it the other. I'm like, let me see if these guys, this ESG, Larry Fink, Vanguard, State Street, if they have any influence on military contract, defense contracts. If you Google the largest shareholder for Raytheon, 3 out of the 4 top shareholders of Raytheon, BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard. It could be top 3 with Raytheon, but I think it's 3 out of 4. If you go look up General Dynamics, if you go look up Boeing, if you go look up, Northrop Grumman, okay? And then you work backwards and you say, okay, how much money is that in what these guys are doing? You'll find the amount of money we spent in our military, $744 billion on how much we're making from defense. But you'll see some numbers saying last year it's 13% of our GDP, which is around $850 billion. That's more than the next 10 combined. We gave more money to Ukraine than Russia spent on their military last year. And when you look at these
Okay. So can we talk about that real quick? Hang on.
Absolutely.
Because I find that fascinating. We spent more money last year on Ukraine. Is that not crazy to you guys? I mean, is it, the fact that BlackRock has so much control over our economic, does that not bother you guys, or am I the only one?
Absolutely.
Like, what is there to fight against ESG besides our wallets and our dollars? Like, we need to start thinking about, as retail investors, this is not good for retail investors. I mean, if a ESG big hedge like that, like someone like BlackRock decides they want to shut AMC out because they don't want to play by the rules, that could put AMC in enormous amount of jeopardy, right? As far as being able to borrow money down the line, who knows? But the fact that they are letting this ride on financial investments and whether or not to loan you money is a major problem in my my eyes. I don't know about you guys. Do you guys tell me what you think? That's a big problem.
I think BlackRock, Vanguard, they're all an issue, right? They pretty much own the world, bud. The world, not just the United States, right? And we got Americans. I'm only talking about here in America, but it's a worldwide issue if you really look at it. But here in America, I mean, you got people who don't even understand or know anything about it. It's crazy to me.
You have no idea. You have no idea how many migrants I saw coming across this country. I mean, every major transportation depot hub in this country was loaded with migrants. I didn't think it would be that big of a deal. I'm like, oh, you bring in 7 million people to a population of 330 million, you're not going to notice the difference. Like, you probably won't even notice it. But you do. When you go to the inner cities, and I know Stevie's in Western Mass. I know exactly where Stevie is. I know where T is. T's down in southern Texas, and I'm sure it's very bad there. But what I saw was a mass migration of immigrants to the Northeast, to the Midwest. They are all up here now. Like, whatever happened with that whole busing thing, that went down. They're definitely doing that. And make no mistake about it, they're coming to your community. If you live in the Northeast or the Midwest, and this border situation continues as it is, there will be no reprieve for you. It is coming. And now they're saying, these Democratic governors are saying, we are no longer sanctuary cities. Or these mayors are saying, we are no longer sanctuary cities. Goddamn, people, we told you this from the beginning. This was a bad idea, but you don't want to listen.
I mean,
Maximus says, all my cousins masked. They're coming to get you, bro. I don't know what they did. What I did. What happened, Maximus? What did I say? Let the truth out. Let the truth spill. T, what do you think about, and this is open to Steve too. What do you guys think about next week? All right. So now we're coming up on the end of another week. Do you think Zurn's going to make a decision by the end of the week, T or Stevie? Go ahead.
I'm surprised she hasn't made a decision yet, but it could happen tomorrow. If not, I got a running joke like, last Friday I said Moass Monday, and if it doesn't happen tomorrow, then we get another shot at Moass Monday. I mean,
Moass Monday.
Shit. But in all seriousness, I mean, she could put the thing out any time, right? I mean, they renegotiated the settlement agreement. She just has to basically approve it. But if she doesn't like something in there, it could take longer. I really don't know. I'm not the judge. She's going to make her decision on her own.
She is really judge, jury, and executioner at this point, right, T?
Yeah. I was very optimistic that it would be quick, but like I said, after reading Chancery Daily's post, I'm okay if it takes till September. I mean, I would just like all the drama and fighting and all of this nonsense to be over so people can move on. I'd prefer that to be sooner rather than later, whatever the decision ends up being.
Maggie, if you had an AMC theater, I think we would all be flocking to Maine. But because you are absent of a theater of AMC, that is your problem. So you got to get in touch with me. We'd all be there. Listen, when you open the first AMC theater in Maine, Maggie, we're all going to be there. Trust me. T will be there. I know Steve will be there. He's like right up the street. We'll all be there. Don't worry. Four Horseman says Fractal are going to Fractal. Don't listen to all the FUD. Mike says she wants to hear the earnings report. Hilsey says hold on. And Diaz says, I agree, Tony. Hilsey said I'm about to drop dead here. I'm about to drop dead here. I don't think that has to do with the Doxino. I recommend a few martinis and some ganja. What if I'm frustrated, Doxino? That's not doing it anymore. That used to work. A couple martinis and some ganja used to keep me composed. Now, The market can set me back for weeks. No reprieve. Andrew says, isn't the case important enough? This is going to take till September. Oh, Diaz, have a good night. T, what
That's
do you
what I
think?
was talking about earlier. After reading Chancellor's post, I'm thinking about what she said. Like, there's a chance this could be appealed. Judge is probably thinking about that. And there is some precedent being set here. So she's probably thinking about that. She might be taking her time to think about those things.
Yeah. T, let me ask you this, and this goes to Stevie too. Do you guys think, and just knowing what we know and seeing everything that was sent in as far as evidence, do you think that the decision is going to weigh heavily on the other outside forces that people mentioned in their legitimate, cases that they made, as far as these outside forces are working against AMC? Do you think she's going to take that in consideration when she's making her ruling, or do you think she's going to really focus in on what's important and really what she needs to rule on, like the actual matter we have in hand?
Go ahead, Mediocre.
I don't know. I think she has the information she needs based on what they sent in, right? Like, some people don't believe that they made their case. Some people believe that they did, whatever. But I think she has enough information to go by. Now, others say, why didn't the attorneys give her a date? And I would argue that, why would they give her a date? That's like demanding you want something done by a certain date. I wouldn't give a judge a date like that either. I mean, I know some people say, well, she asked for it. Well, here's the information. This is what I could tell you in the documentation. And if she either agrees with that or she doesn't, and it's ultimately her decision. So the AMC attorneys left it in the judge's hand. They didn't give her any ultimatums or anything like that. So we'll see what happens. That's just how I look at it. Others may look at it different. So I'm just waiting to see what happens.
That sounds reasonable to me.
Were you
Tony,
asking in your question? Were you asking like the other issues people brought up, like dark pools and share count,
FTDs?
and all of that? Yeah. I think in the special master's report, we saw that the court was kind of saying those are not relevant to this case. And even if they were, it's not under the purview of that court. Take it as a separate case to the right court and sue the right party.
Yeah.
Which is going to end up being FINRA or the SEC, which is going to go nowhere.
All right, T. So First Wave Crypto says, oh, okay, let's just let the facts slide. Hang on. That we have been on the reg show list multiple times. FTD's reg show should have caused a squeeze. First Wave Crypto, what makes you believe that they can't cover those FTDs? Like, why is that? Because of those FTDs, necessarily we should have had a squeeze. They have the right to cover those FTDs, correct, T? Right?
Yeah,
those failure to delivers, they have 3 days,
point
right?
of being on reg shows to give the failing party a heads up that you need to cover that shit. But even if they cover it and someone else fails the next day, that adds 5 more days. And then that person covers and another institution fails, and so on and so on. You just keep on adding 5 days every time. You could literally be on the threshold list for a year and it could all be legal and they could all be being covered. Or it could be complete crime.
Right. We don't know.
We don't know because we don't have transparency.
Right.
Good point.
We should
great
be
point.
fighting for the transparency.
Instead of beating up the CEO, we should be protesting the SEC for transparency on the threshold list.
And listen, and I agree with you guys 100% on that. When I went to DC back in January, it was against the SEC, not against AMC, right? I never went down there with the intention to protest against Adam Aaron or AMC or the C-suite. This was always about regulation, not about the company and who's running it in particular. It was always about regulation, because I feel like we're getting failed there. It's not so much the C-suite that's failing us, really. I mean, if you really want to look at someone that's failing us, we're talking about the regulatory entities out there, not the company itself. They're trying to battle themselves in this game that they're in, right? Where the stock market is contradicting their price action of their stock. I mean, it doesn't get much more simple than that. Tom just says, I think positive. Oh, Sith Lord says positive earnings may be very little in this play. The stock will still fall. AMC is arguably the most molested stock in the history of the stock market. It's not even debatable. All right, let's talk about that. T, what do you think about that? Do you think that AMC is the most heavily molested stock in the history of the market? You think that?
I'm just going to say, Johnny, I observe and participate in a lot of stocks. Everybody thinks I'm just AMC, but I'm all over the place. Every ticker's community says the same thing. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Stevie.
It's a mindset of retail that their particular stock is the most manipulated. It can't all be right.
Yeah. Agreed. Stevie, go ahead.
I mean, why is the stock falling? Why are the shorts not backing off? Why aren't we asking ourselves these questions, right? I don't know. And maybe there's a little validity to what's going on, and we keep putting blinders on and ignoring the fact that there is reason to. I'm not for shorts, but don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, like, their thesis is mostly correct, right? We're in a failing company that we're trying to save. You have to look at it from both angles. That's my only thing, right? Like, I try to look at both sides of it. That's all. I mean, I'm going to catch a lot of hate for this video. I can already see. But
you're talking. Listen, as long as you're spitting facts, you're okay in this channel, man. Go ahead.
But the fact of the matter is, you got to look at both sides. Like, why are they doing this? Why do they want to drive it to zero? Well, because it doesn't have any money. And we're not helping them to get money. That's the problem. We're basically starving the company we're invested in for a short squeeze play.
Yeah. That's what it seems like now, right? Doesn't it seem like that?
Why would they ever let off the gas? Ask yourself that question. Why would they ever stop? And if they can stop you from getting there, creating a short squeeze, then why would they ever let off the gas? And I'm not a short, believe me. I own AMC. This is my problem. This is why I want to have this conversation, right? They can drive this thing down and never allow us to do anything, and then what? Then Adam Aaron and the board has to do whatever they have to do to get money. Eventually, they're not going to be able to get any more money, and they're going to have to file bankruptcy, and we all get wiped out. That's the end game there, right? And who wins? The shorts win if that happens.
The shorts win, yeah.
You really want them to win?
Right.
That's what I'm asking everybody. Like, I don't know. Those are just my thoughts.
That's a good point. Doxino says, yep, threshold list means shit. First Wave Crypto says, we can have multiple angles of attack. This is a financial war. That I agree with 100%. This is...
Me too.
We're in a financial war with these guys. I mean, no doubt about it. Look, we almost took out a hedge fund, right? Back in January 2021, we almost took down Melvin Capital on our own with no... no one saw that coming. We came out of nowhere and caught them with their pants down, and we almost wiped them out. If it wasn't for Citadel stepping in and bailing them out, we would have wiped out Melvin, right? Correct? Are we not? We're on the same page with that, right? We know what we're capable of.
I got another question for the community, right? We're in a war, a financial war. We just determined that, right? Why wouldn't you protect your bullets, your money? Protect your money so you can continue the fight. That's all I'm saying. I don't know. What do I know?
Go ahead. Elaborate. You can elaborate on that. Go ahead.
I got to be careful what I exactly say, but my point
that
I'm trying to make
advice,
is,
whatever you do.
If you go to zero and you have no money, you're going to buy back in. What's the point? Why let it go to zero? Is my point.
Yeah,
we should save the company and continue to fight another day. Right? This isn't the only ticker on the whole market. The market doesn't revolve around AMC. There's other tickers out there that go through the same shit we're going through now. It's market-wide corruption. So let's actually do something meaningful. That's all I'm trying to say.
All right, let me pull this up real quick because this came from yesterday. This was on Adam Aaron's Twitter, or X, I guess they call it now. Welcome to the club. Hang on. I'm going to put it up. So he said, hang on. Adam Aaron on Twitter. All right, here we go. Adam Aaron says, made sense by the high number of fail to delivers AMC shares, and that AMC again has been on the threshold list for multiple weeks. We repeatedly have gone to the New York Stock Exchange and FINRA and did so again in July to put and keep this entire situation on their radar. And then he lists all these FTDs came from AMC to the moon, looks like. All right, so what do you, I mean, we've seen this before from Aaron, right? This isn't the first time Adam Aaron has given a tweet like this. So what do you guys think? Does this mean anything, or is this par for the course with Aaron, in your opinion?
I mean, we don't really have evidence is the problem I have with it. I mean, we need something. Sorry, I'm bouncing the table, but I'm getting frustrated here.
I can do it too.
We absolutely need transparency. Okay, we don't got any transparency, so what can we do? Our hands are tied. We could cry about the threshold list, but nothing ever gets done about it. So why can't we force them to change the rules so that retail can get the information it deserves? Right? It's supposed to be a free and fair market system. So a free and fair market system, if there's information, it should not be withheld from retail investors. That's my fucking complaint.
Agreed.
Agreed. That's really all I got to say.
Agreed. Jesse says, what do you guys think about what if Zurn does not sign again as submitted? Can that happen? And if it can, wouldn't you think AMC would run again and Ape goes down? All right, so let's take that two parts. What do you guys think about if Zurn does not sign as submitted? Can that happen? And then two, if it wouldn't, do you think AMC would run again as Ape goes down? All right, so let's take the first part. What do you guys think about Zurn does not sign as submitted? I don't think she's going to. I think she's been clear about that, right? Anyone else want to debate on that?
I think he's asking, is she going to approve the settlement as amended, or is she going to have more questions and tell them the settlement's still not good enough?
Okay. What are you guys' thoughts? Go ahead, T. You can start.
Yeah, I mean, she could say the settlement's not good enough. Sure.
Yeah, 100%. Yep. Stevie, you think she will?
She's the judge. She's the judge. It's her court. She could do what she wants to do. She doesn't accept the settlement. She doesn't accept the settlement. What can you do?
Let me ask you this. Do you think that some of the exculpatory evidence has come forward, some of the things that retail has said about the market in general, about, our concerns about why this price has come down, all the problems that we have, do you think she's going to take that into consideration and that will be a factor in her decision? Or do you guys feel like she'll be able to keep that piecemeal and be like, listen, I got to decide on this one thing right here. And on this, I'm not going to let anything else come into my persuasion or my periph.
She already dismissed all their stuff.
All right. We agree on that then. Okay. All right. As long as we're on the same page as that. Okay. So you guys feel the same way I do, that she's definitely dismissing all of the other intangibles that are definitely affecting the stock price, but have nothing to do with this particular case in specifics, right?
Exactly.
You agree on that? All right.
Because you're going to have to bring your own suit. You have to have evidence to bring the suit. That's the problem with what is going on with the corruption. So where do you start with that?
Yes. Where do you start?
I'm with the community that the market, I believe, is corrupt, right?
Yes. So now the decision becomes, how do you beat the corrupt system? Okay, so starting from right now, 11 o'clock on Wednesday night, moving forward, we all need to work in unison as far as how do we attack the current situation that we're confronted with, right? So this thing constantly is changing, and I think everyone needs to understand that the play is constantly adapting and changing, right? We all need to be, and I just want you guys to be on your fucking toes when this thing comes to fruition, because whatever happens is going to go down one way or the other. Just be ready. This is your money. This is your financial future. It's your freedom. Be ready for whatever it's coming. That's all.
I mean, I say this all the time. The only way you're going to repair the corruption is you're going to have to get the top cop to do his job, which you're not going to get, right? And the only way to do that, it ends up in politics. That's all I can tell you. I don't really want to go into detail because people are going to make up their own mind. But if anybody really truly wants market change, you're going to have to change your politicians and force them to make change. If it doesn't happen, you're never going to get change. End of story.
By the way, Pam, thank you very much. You and Prometheus, love you guys. Thank you so much. Everyone that's helping out tonight on the channel, we thank you. Me, Stevie, Tony, thank you guys. Mike says, and good point, Steve. Mike says she will sign it sooner or later, or she would have tossed it out already. See, that I agree with, right? This would already be gone had it happened. I think this, had she had thought that this was being thrown out, it would have been done already. You guys agree, T?
I believe that if
I'm laughing at Andrew's comment. Yeah, I think she will approve it eventually.
yes, I
This
also
one?
do.
Beach off someone off?
That's a Barbie movie quote.
Oh, is that from Ryan Gosling?
Yeah.
No, it is. Okay. Scott says, what's up, by the way? Broke Ape, how you just peace? I believe her biggest hiccup is ape holders are not getting anything. Ape is 1-to-1 AMC. They should have come back to Zurn with an RSC. Everyone gets one share for every 21 you own. All right, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about the settlement. Do you think it's just a matter of she wants a little more for the settlement in order to be prove it to? I do. I feel like that's what she's looking for, a little more compensation for the retail investor at this point. What do you think?
It's complex as she's worried about the impact of the settlement on ape shareholders. And she had that concern about the release of claims, but they addressed that. So we're just going to have to wait and see what else she's upset about, if anything.
I mean,
yeah,
she gave them that out. They had the opportunity to give ape holders something or to take them out of the settlement. They chose to take them out of the settlement. They're willing to be sued over the ape, ape not getting anything in the settlement. I think they're under the impression that ape holders probably won't sue them, but it is what it is. Whatever happens is going to happen. Ape wasn't a part of the case. So what can you do? You can't rule on something that isn't part of the case.
Right. Yep. Great point. Great point. All right, I'm going to go back to this video for 1 sec. I just want to finish up what Patrick Bet David's saying about BlackRock. Hang on. I feel like this is important. Not as important as AMC maybe, but it is important. All right, hang on. All right, here we go.
Contracts, then you're like, okay, FINK is there. These guys are there. Okay, let's go look at Hollywood. Same thing you see there. Let's go look at pharmaceutical. Let's go look at this. And you're like, wait a minute. These guys essentially have a monopoly. Well, how big is BlackRock? $10 trillion. How big is $10 trillion? Only 2 countries have a bigger GDP than what BlackRock has, assets under management, U.S. and China. That's how big BlackRock is. So then they went and they started getting all these other guys to sign on and say, hey, we want you to participate with the same thing as well with ESG. And they ended up having, I think they had 31 signers. I think end of 2022, they got 60 something signers for a total of $70 trillion of assets under management that they're controlling.
70 trillion.
So now they're controlling other places. And just recently, if you saw the rebuilding of Ukraine, did you see this contract? Rebuilding of Ukraine, $400 billion contract. BlackRock and Chase is helping rebuild Ukraine. And then, okay, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but what the hell is going on here? They have that much control to get everybody to do what they want them to do? Yes. So Dylan Mulvaney, who cares? Why? Bud Light. How does that tie up? You got the DEI, the HRC, the human rights, and all this stuff. And then you go even deeper, which is even the crazier part with, the education, schools. Like, the biggest union we have in America, I think it's National Education something. NEA is the largest union we have. 3 million teachers are part of that union. And you look at that and you go deeper in that with open society and who's funding it, who's the money behind these organizations. comes back. Soros, Soros, Soros. How do you feel about the kind of power they have right now to fight against them? Because this isn't like a billionaire can come out and say, I'm going to go up against these guys. They don't have a little bit of money. A billionaire to these guys is nothing. They got the kind of control that can make companies fire boards. They can replace CEOs. They can replace leaders if they don't like. They have their hands so much into it where many times when people say they, the people of power, I'm kind of like, who are the people of power? Are you convinced these guys are really running the world? Or what do you think about what some of these bigger companies are doing, like State Street, Vanguard, and BlackRock?
Well, they certainly have massive amounts of influence. What do you think they're doing?
It's the question is, how do you fight it? Like, for example, the way we fight mainstream is by what? The show that we do. And we have to be patient. It's going to take 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 years. Now you have some influence, right? Okay, we can fight. There is an actual...
All right, so I feel like we're doing the same thing, right? In a way, we're fighting the same corrupt systems. Hold on, let me get you guys back up here. Where'd you go? Hold on. I lost everybody. Mediocre, hang in there. T, hang in there. Get you guys back up here. All right, there we go. What do you guys think about that? You think he's right? Does BlackRock really have that much influence over the U.S. economy?
Yes.
Or are we being misled? Yes?
I believe they do.
Yeah, me too. Me too. There's no other explanation of why we're seeing what we're seeing right now besides the fact that these influential, power-hungry oligarchs are influencing everything from elections to the culture war. There's certainly something going on behind the scenes, right? No doubt about it. And I don't think AMC is playing a huge role in that. Thank God. Thank God we're not dealing with AMC being on the front of that, because that would be just another nightmare we'd have to add on to everything else we're dealing with. If AMC was going through this DEI controversy or anything like that, forget it. They got enough flack for Sounds of Freedom, a couple of theaters, the AC turning off. Imagine if there was a full-blown conspiracy really going on there. So thankfully, we're not embroiled in any of that. But to talk about the rest of the economy and what's going on in business right now, I think it's important to understand the ESG element that's creeping into the stock market, and something's going to affect price action for years to come. Years to come. Until we put an end to it, it's going to be a factor, right? Right? You guys agree?
Yeah. I mean,
oh God,
how do you stop?
Brent says, hold on. Brent says, this makes me sad. Tony is supposed to be the non-conspiracy, just the facts guy. T, you want to address that?
Massalorian has his own thoughts.
We're on Mass's live stream, not Tony's. Remember that. Mass has some twisted, warped thoughts that Tony does not engage with. He will never engage with. He just tells me, stop, Mass. So, I know when to carry on and when to shut up. BKSA says AI is overblown. It's not that good yet. First Wave Crypto says, look up at what AI can do in film currently. You'll see why Hollywood is scared. T, are you or Stevie, are you guys worried about the strikes at all? Or do you think this is going to come to a swift end? It's been like 2 weeks now with the actors.
Are they still on strike?
Yeah.
Then I'm worried about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, think about that, people. The actors and writers are on strike right now for the movie industry. We only have production up until maybe the beginning of 2024. Just keep that in mind when you're thinking about this play. Remember everything that's going on in this space. We're talking about money here.
My money's still in AMC, Mass. I'm worried about it.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is pay attention to what's going on in your surroundings. Do not be blindfolded. Do not be blindsided by what possibly could be coming. Because the longer this strike goes on, the more impact it's going to have on Hollywood, the more impact it's going to have on the stock price for AMC. Make no doubt about it. Charlotte says, taking AI along. Joe Burt says, everyone is anti-Adam Aaron. I'm super out of the loop. Geez, what changed? I wouldn't say that, Joe Burt. I don't think everyone's anti-Adam Aaron. Listen, we want the company to succeed. We want the company to become, the mega movie theater of the world. I don't think any of that's lost on anyone. That's what we all want, right? We're all shareholders. We're all holding the stock. We're waiting for a short squeeze. We're waiting for the price to come up. We're waiting for the fundamentals to get better. In the meantime, as we wait, we're going to talk about everything else going on in the world. But as far as Adam Aaron going and our opinions on him, I don't know. Stevie, what's mediocre? What's your honest opinion on AA? What do you think? You met him with me in person. We were together live. What are your thoughts? We talked about it.
I think he cares about saving AMC. That's his job. That's what I think.
Bottom line.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he hates his shareholders, but I don't think he's, doing them what can he do? His hands are tied. That's all I can tell you. His hands are tied. The books are bad. He's got to do what he's got to do. End of fucking story. I mean, I don't even want to talk about him. Like, it's a non-factor. He needs to do what he needs to do. If you understand what his job is, then you would understand that he's got to pay the bills one way or another.
Is his job to create a MOAS, Stevie?
His job is to make sure AMC doesn't go bankrupt.
That's it.
We have
really,
a big disconnect in retail traders in many stocks where they want one thing, but they're ignoring the financial statements and what is actually going on in the company. They're ignoring delisting notice. They're ignoring 9 months of not AMC, but I've seen companies with 9 or 12 months of not filing 10Qs and 10Ks, and people are like, "This is the best stock ever." Like you own a train wreck. Adam Aaron and all CEOs' job is to fix the balance sheet, fix the income statement, and sometimes they are going to make choices that you don't like and they're not favorable to you as a retail trader. If you don't want those problems, if you don't want those risks, don't buy companies with negative earnings. That comes with the territory. And people don't want to hear that message, but that is the message.
Agreed. Scavenger says, Scavenger, what's up tonight, man? He says, we need a CEO who wants MOAS and not a good company. MOAS everything company is not. Those two camps, I think they can fall in the same position every once in a while. The fact that we want a MOAS, I think can go along with everyone who just wants the company to improve on basic fundamentals and numbers, no? I mean...
Well, we wanted a MOAS in 2021.
Yeah.
And the economy was booming. Stock market was booming. The company had $2 billion in cash. And then things changed around November 2021 when interest rates started going up and money came out of equities.
I mean, I won't lie. I want AMC to MOAS tomorrow. Let's go. Let's do it. Right? Let's do it. I'm for a MOAS. I don't understand why people think I'm against a MOAS. That's not at all what I'm against a MOAS. I just want to see the company succeed because my money is invested in it. I just don't understand why people can't see that. I don't only have 100 shares. I'm not going to tell you what I have, but it's a substantial amount of money. End of story.
I think that's an important thing, right? I think people need to understand that a couple of the people right now that are on this panel talking, as far as me, Tony and Steve go, we're all deeply invested in the stock. So this has a whole different meaning for us other than YouTubers because we have a financial vested interest in the company itself and the CEO and the job that they're doing. And I think that's one of the main reasons why we continue to come out here and do this no matter what, is because we appreciate a businessman who's going out and fighting for his company and a group of people who are getting behind and backing that company to perform successfully and turn a profit. Central Content says Adam Aaron wants to squeeze as much as anyone. He just wants shares available to sell it into. Look, that could be true. All I know is, and 24 the Money says mediocre is all ape. Mediocre, are you all ape?
I own AMC.
Me too. We all do. So does Tony.
I want to address censored content because his comment, that goes back to that CEO handbook I did a couple months ago. If you are a CEO, want to raise money, your ideal scenario is on good news when the price is increasing. Adam Aron probably does not want a squeeze when he has no shares to sell into it. That's a good point.
Yeah, excellent point. Yep, for sure, 100%. Andrew says, are the company fundamentals better now than they were when AMC ran to 72? Yes. They got to be, right? We were coming out of doing movies in 2021. We were in June of 2021. I mean, we were making no money. There was nothing coming out. The biggest movie we had up to that point was Kong vs. Godzilla. You guys remember that? In March, the last weekend in March of 2021 was the biggest release we had at 30 million. So we were definitely in trouble back then. And Adam Aron said, I want to try to raise capital. And remember what we all said, and I was right there with you guys saying, no way in hell, you cannot dilute the stock. We were adamant, right? I mean, we were. I mean, let's admit the facts and the truth. Everyone back then that was with us, if you were watching this channel back at that time, me and everyone else was saying, T, I don't know, maybe I don't want to put you in lumped in with Steve and me, but we were saying that, you know, this is the potential for something big, but, you know, there's nothing we could guarantee. And there's definitely a possibility that he would need to dilute at some point. But at that point, we didn't think it was right, as people waiting for a short squeeze. And now we're living with those consequences. No matter whether it was right or wrong, it is what it is.
The fact of the matter, I'll say this too. It doesn't matter if you own APE or AMC. If you own either, you own AMC. Supporting the company.
Mike says, mediocre is true app. I think he means APE. Only person I have seen with customer car plates supporting AMC. Stevie, do you have custom plates? Did I miss that?
I don't know, Mike. I'll just say that.
What? I'm like,
I mean, you rode in my
car.
You rode in my car, John. Come on. Did you see the plates?
That's what I was going to say. I'm like, shit, I got in your car. Holy smokes. Adam says we still have yet another year in this financial war. God damn, I hope not. I don't know. Are you guys ready to stay in another year? Because I don't know if I can. T, I don't know. What are your thoughts? Another year, T, man?
It depends on what happens with dilution and with the actors and writers strike. I've said that.
That's a big thing, huh?
I'm very optimistic about 2024, but I'm becoming more pessimistic every week as strike goes by.
Yeah. By the way, Pam and Prometheus, thank you guys for the super chats. Love you. You know that. Tommy B, how you doing tonight? How are you tonight? Pam the Trader says, I'm holding for a new jet ski. Yeah, I want the boat. Give me the whole boat. Forget the jet ski. I want the 18-footer. Paul says, is paired up, says, poor brave sperm clinging to a stick shifter as we speak. I don't know what that means. Andrew says, no, I don't have enough Xanax for another year. That's unfortunate. Doug says, why do a rights offering assuming he could do it legally? All right, so let's talk about that for 1 second. Because I heard someone talking about this earlier. T, you can go on, Steve, anyone. So earlier today, I heard someone talking about that the creation of APE was illegal and it was shady and it was unethical and all these things. We can call it all those things, right? There are certain things about APE that are very true, and I think every retail investor can agree with as far as its admission into the market, I think, right? We can all agree that it wasn't under the best circumstances. We kind of all got hooked a bit. Can we agree on that, at least? That we got hoodwinked a little bit by Adam Aron?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So I'm not the only one thinking that, right, Stevie?
Not at all.
All right. So with that said, at this point now, do you still believe in Adam Aron? Knowing everything he's pulled off up to this point and all the things that maybe you have fallen for or not fallen for, if you still believe in the stock, then you can hold it, no problem, until we figure out what's going on. If you don't believe in Adam Aron, I would suggest you exit this position, only on the basis as being a retail trader myself. If I had no confidence in the leader of a company, I would never buy one share of that company. But I have a little bit of confidence in Adam Aron. I think he's trying to do the right thing. I hope so. Up until this point, I've had most of my faith in him, regardless of what his compensation is and, how many shares he sold into the open market. I still have to believe as a CEO, if he wanted to tank this company, he could have done it a long time ago. I don't know what he's waiting for. I can't understand what the hold off is. So I don't know. You guys can elaborate. And Tommy B says 84.32. I'm waiting for
when
that.
you
Tom,
say,
if that price comes, I'm out. Just so you know.
you say, do I believe in Adam Aaron? I mean, to do what?
To
Do I
lead
believe
this
in Adam?
company out of bankruptcy to a profitable position again in the future, if
That's
he
his,
has the capital to do it.
that's his job, and he's doing what he needs to do that. I'll say that. Do I
Yeah.
agree with what he's doing? That's debatable. I have some issues, but I understand why he's doing what he's doing, and I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough, Stevie. Mike says Sea-Doo GTX 300. I'm assuming that's a jet boat, but I can't be sure. Billy 87's in the chat. How you doing tonight? Paul, good evening. Says poor brave. Oh, I said that already. I don't know what that is about. All right. Let's see here. Let me pull up another comment. Doc Zeno says, I'm going to rake in the money from psychiatric treatment as retail tries to regain sanity. Come to Doc Zeno. All right. So Doc Zeno is going to, he's definitely going to make money on this play no matter what.
Doc,
Tony
thank you for your comments, and I will be your first client because I'm going to need some therapy.
You're feeling it already, Stevie, huh?
Oh, yeah, I'm going
Volok's
to need it after
Cranium
this show.
says, Tony, as you and I discussed, reality is too painful for a lot of hedgy bots and FUD busters because they don't see a good way out, so they pin their hopes in a long shot and ignore reality. AMC will rip. All right, so T, let's talk about this a little bit because me and you talked about this earlier. Me and T had a conversation. I did call Tony earlier just to get some insight. I said, I need to look to my leader. You guys know me. So, yeah.
Make sure you stay on script, Massalorian.
Yeah, I'm on script. Don't worry. I got it written down right here, T. It's all written down. We're good. No, but I called T earlier, and we talked about this play and everything about hoping they're we just want to make sure you guys know that there are opportunities to make money here and be aware of your surroundings and understand what's going on and try to analyze every aspect of this play as an investor. Don't be a hype fan, don't be anything. Think about it as your money is at risk and you're going to do what the best you can do with the money you have at hand. That's all. I think me and T and Stevie, I sure would agree with that. We all want you guys to win, regardless of whether it's on AMC or any other play out there. We want you guys to beat the market, and that's what we're all here for.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Hey, thanks, T. Thanks, T. All right. I just wanted to say that. I feel like so many of us have come this far and we've put in a lot of work towards this stock and this play. And no matter what, we're always going to be here for AMC. Me, Tony, Steve, we're all movie lovers, right? I met Stevie when I went to go meet Adam Aaron the same night. And even when I came across on this trip doing the documentary, I met apes on the train. I mean, there are a lot of us out there. Don't think you're alone. We're all on this play together. We're all trying to see the best for this outcome. And we're talking and speculating about what possibly could happen to help you guys. And that's all we can do. And we're not going to try to lead you guys astray. We're not going to do it for clicks. We're going to do it for monetary value. And hopefully you'll get something out of this. And hopefully it will help with your decision making, but not making the decision for you. That ultimately is up to you. All right. Andrew says,
Hold on. I need
Yeah.
you to look at my background. Check my background out, Mass.
what is it? Is that me, bro? Is that me with a backward hat and a scar face? How the hell did
That's
you do
you.
that? Oh my God.
Uh,
I look
Super
like a
Steven
straight
did
G.
Super Steven did that.
Oh,
That's
Super
just
Steven
funny.
did? Hey,
Oh,
SS,
yeah,
thank you,
dude.
man. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. That's good. Send that to me in the email, someone. Jesse says, I disagree with some of his choices, but I still back his overall integrity. I think Jesse's talking about AA. I don't know. T, what are your thoughts on AA overall? You think he has some integrity to him? I do.
I've always said that when it comes to CEOs, Don't try and decode their tweets. Understand their mission. Their mission as a CEO is to ensure the viability of the company. If you're buying companies that are in financial trouble, that may result in decisions that you don't like.
Can we throw Mullen in that pool of those
You can
companies?
throw a lot of them. I mean, we've been watching hundreds of them over the last 3 years.
All right, let me ask you guys this. Other than AMC right now, what is the most speculative stock you guys are invested in? Just curious. Is there anything out there right now that's piquing your attention as we're in this bull run?
I don't have any other. I mean, the most other speculative play that I have would be probably BKKT.
BKKT?
I'm playing with the SQQQ, which is the downside to the NASDAQ, basically the Qs. So
you're playing the Qs on the negative?
yeah.
You think we're in for a retrace at some point too?
I think it's possible, but I don't know.
I'm holding the SQs also, by the way.
What'd you say? I'm hoping the what?
That I'm holding those also, the SQQQ.
Okay, got it. Paul says these crooks are caught, buy and hodl to the hip. So, Paul, I don't know who you're talking about. You talking about us right here on the chat? Because we're all shareholders. There's no other reason we'd be on here tonight unless we were holding a stock. I promise you that. Trust me, it ain't worth my time to come out here at 12:30 on a Thursday morning.
What do you guys think will happen to the U.S. dollar if the BRICS countries get a gold-backed currency going?
Go ahead, Tay.
Apparently August 22nd, that's supposed to happen.
You want me to go? I'll tell you what I think.
Go ahead.
Okay. Here's what I think. So BRICS is a currency backed by gold. One of the countries in that currency is South Africa, right? South Africa right now is shut down 12 hours a day. They have no electricity. Why on God's green earth would I ever invest in a commodity or a currency that is backed by a country that cannot produce anything for half of their day? 12 hours, 24, 12 hours of the 24 day. I would never, ever invest any money into. If you think about what's going on in South Africa right now, that they're shutting down the power for half the day, do you understand like what that's doing to businesses, small businesses? Never mind the big powerhouse companies. I'm talking about the small, everyday mom and pop stores, restaurants, all those things in South Africa. I would never put a dime of money into a country they can't keep the lights on for 12 hours a day. I think if you're doing that, you're sick in the head. Because what are they producing right now with only half of their capabilities?
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
they're not
nothing's
the only
running.
ones.
They're not the only one,
No.
and everyone's got their problem. Who and Steve, out of those countries of BRICS, who is going to be the ultimate head there, right? So you got 5 different currencies. Who's are you going to back? How do you pick out of Brazil, Russia, India, China? Who do you back?
I think they're going to come up with one currency. That's what I was asking. What do you think that'll do versus the dollar?
I think no matter what, the U.S. dollar is important. Yeah, it's losing its title as the world's petrodollar. But as far as backing, what is backing the United States dollar? Do I have more faith in that over, say, Brazil or India or China? I don't know. Not so much as I used to. If you asked me this question back in 1995, I might give you a different answer. In 2023, I don't know. Since the war happened with Russia, they've become much more powerful, much more resilient. They've raised a ton of capital off of the war and everything else going on, and we've driven Russia into China's arms. So now those two are combining to become a force that we can't reckon with as a single country. Maybe with NATO, but as a single country, you can't bump up against China and Russia. They'll smoke you. I don't know why we decided to go down that route, but We decided to drive Russia into China's arms, and now we are at the precipice of
Well,
possibly
we
World
didn't
War III.
decide that, Mass. We didn't decide that.
So says who? Let's go back. You want to go back to 2014 and the Maidan coup? I mean, we can go all the way back when
I'm
Victoria
saying you
Nuland.
and
Oh,
saying
yeah.
the American people didn't decide that.
No, of course not. No. I mean, we don't want war. Stevie, do you want to see anyone fighting right now and getting killed? No. I mean,
No.
we have 350,000 people dead in Ukraine, and we don't even understand what that kind of carnage is like because we're not seeing it up hand, right? But it's going on. It's happening. We're allowing it to happen. These are our politicians that we put in power who are making the calls. So it's on us ultimately at the end of the day. Sorry.
No, you're good. I was just curious on your thoughts about gold-backed currencies versus the dollar. Was the only real question I was asking. What if it would have an impact on the U.S. dollar?
Well, T, go ahead. Yeah, I didn't answer that very well. T, maybe you got a better answer. Good.
I'm not going to comment on that. I'm distracted by somebody that said the price of AMC should be $28.
I'll get you distracted.
Why did it get me distracted? Because I think there's a big disconnect in people's understanding of where the price comes from. The price is it comes from earnings, right? If you look at an IMAX, and I've pulled them up here on stockanalysis.com. If you go to the forecast of earnings for like a Cinemark or an IMAX, they all have positive earnings scheduled, predicted for 2023 and beyond. And they have a PE ratio forecast of around 21. What would it take for AMC to have a price around $20? It would require earnings around $1 per share, because PE ratio is price to earnings, right?
Yes.
I'm looking at stockanalysis.com for the AMC forecast, and they have negative earnings per share for the next 5 years, which I think that's overly bearish. But if Wall Street is predicting negative earnings for the next few years, I want to know what basis you're saying the price should be $28 besides feelings. You got to think like Wall Street. Price is derived from earnings, and we have negative earnings. That's why you're getting these $1.50 price targets, $2 price targets. It's not them being bearish. They're using regular Wall Street analysis to value the price of the stock based off of earnings.
By the way, someone asked me in the chat if I had watched the special about Sean Ryan and the Afghanistan withdrawal. I did last night. I watched about 12 minutes of it, and it was phenomenal. So whoever hit me off to that, thank you very much to that testimony from the Marine. It was really well. Thank you. And T, thanks for that input. I think that was a great point. Adam says,
right now, like at $5 and $1.80, and then we convert, it'll be $30 or whatever. That's us. That's us keeping the price up. We're able to hold this well above the proper valuation by fundamental analysis. And that's because apes are not leaving.
Yeah. Thank God. That's why I continue. It's the one thing that's keeping me in this play is the uniformity across the line between everyone, right? That we're going to hold, we're continuing to buy, and we'll see what happens, right? And that's it. That's all we can do. I mean, we are in a speculative play that's very volatile. We're in the stock market. This is a gamble. Every day is a gamble. You're putting your money on the line. You got to understand that. But we'll do the best to bring you guys the information we can to give you the best information to go ahead and deploy your money going forward. And, we're going to be doing the same thing. Whatever we're talking about here on this channel, we'll be doing the same thing. We're not going to be sending you guys in a different direction than we are. That's for damn sure. BSKA says, any thoughts on real estate prices? I don't know. Have you guys touched on that at all? By the way, Philip says the BRICS currencies are weak also. And I agree with you, Philip. I think that South Africa is a big, big, big problem in all this. If you don't have a country en masse producing for half of their day, that is a major issue. I mean, how are they exporting and importing things when they're shut down for half the day? Okay. Gotcha. T, what else you want to say about that?
Sorry. About the brick stuff?
Yeah.
I think you guys covered it, Mass.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't think it's going to have as big of an impact as everyone's saying, right? You think it's going to be pretty much, I mean, you have to have faith in the countries that are backing that currency, regardless of its value compared to gold. You have to also believe in the country, correct? Because if you don't trust China, why am I going to buy their currency? Why would I trade in their currency if I don't trust them? I wouldn't, right?
They're doing it to undermine the U.S., obviously, but we'll have to see what happens there. And
hopefully that doesn't spark
the
actual
US debt
war.
getting downgraded?
Yes, I did. That happened today, right?
Yesterday or the day before.
First time ever?
Not the first time ever.
First time in a while?
First time in a while. Yep.
Not good. Not good. That doesn't look good on a country, right?
Derelict
no matter
government. What. Derelict spending.
On what, T? On what? What are they spending it on?
Exactly.
They're not fixing the market.
Are they fixing infrastructure? Are they helping veterans?
No.
Are they helping the homeless? No, we're fucking wasting our money in Ukraine.
I can promise you no. When you see some of the things that I was able to document, you'll know. There's no way. This country is in shambles from the inside out. I mean, every goddamn major city I went to, half of the retail businesses were closed, and that space was looking for retail rent. And what mind boggles me is they're shutting down the sanctuary cities as people are getting bussed up from Austin and Houston and the border. And as the governor said in those states, we will be busing them to you. Just get ready. They've come and now they're here, 100,000, in a year, and they're realizing the repercussions of their stupid policies of just having an open border policy. Listen, this doesn't work in other countries for a reason. There's a reason why other countries don't have open borders. Now you're seeing why. Scavenger says, I don't stand with crooked Ukraine. Me neither, Scav. Me neither.
All right, Mass. My wife is getting home from a late night grocery trip.
Okay.
And I've got to be up early for pre-market.
All right. All right, T. Thanks for coming
so
by,
I'm gonna
man.
let you guys. I'm going to let you guys keep going. The stream will still be going on my channel. For those of you that are in there, feel free to hang out. But I got to sign off.
I'll stay on with you guys when Tony leaves. T, have a good night. Say hi to Scarlett.
All right. Take care.
Take care, buddy.
Oh. I got to get rolling soon.
You got to get rolling too? All right, I'll go live by myself, I guess, for a little bit. You got to get going, Stevie?
Yeah, I got to get up, but I was going to hang out for a few more minutes, but I don't want to just ditch you.
No, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'll get here. You got a lot of people to talk to. Yeah, I know, man. For me, it's 12:30 too. In my mind, it's 12:30.
I know.
I'm still on Boston time with you, bro. I still am.
I know.
I haven't quite adapted yet to West Coast. I'm getting there.
Good luck.
I'm trying. I know, man. Yeah, hey, yesterday. So I was going to go on live last night. I talked to Tony. I don't know. Did I talk to you yesterday? No, I talked to you today for the first time in a while, right? Today?
Yeah.
This morning? No. I was going to go on with T last night, and I was like, T, I'm like, I just got the word, came down. No live stream tonight. I'm going to have to go for tomorrow when everyone in the house is sleeping. So Mike says Scarlett has got him on a tight chain. No, I don't know about that. Tony very much do what he does, but he's nice to the wife, like Stevie, like all of us, right? We try to accommodate the other people in our lives. Try to make sure that they're comfortable. Yeah. Pam says, wife comes first. Good job, Tony. There you go. See? Prometheus can back that up, I'm sure. Chrismo says, welcome to 935 Mass. Oh, man. By the way, Steve, now it's just me and you. So let's talk for a second because I want to get your honest opinion on this. And we've talked about this many times, but what are your thoughts going forward? Are you at all worried about the strike? Does it have any influence on your mind going forward with the stock price, the strike with the actors and writers?
Well, they already stopped movies for that are supposed to come out in 2024, 2025. They already start production of movies, dude.
Yep.
So how long? The longer it lasts, pushes back to movies. If we're having trouble with not having enough movies now, which is why we're not profitable, this is what the whole argument I have with people is we don't have enough fucking movies, John, to make the money we made in 2019. So that's why we're spending more money. We need Hollywood to make the damn movies so that we got movies in the theaters to make us money. You know, that's where our issue lies. And everybody's like, oh, shut down movie theaters and blah, blah, blah. But you still got to pay the lease on the building regardless. Yeah. You know, that's the biggest nut. You're worried about, some employees. Yeah, there's employees, but the bigger expense is what we owe the landlords of the buildings.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I think
you're right.
Hollywood strike is a big issue because if we can't make movies, we can't make money.
Right. That's a big problem. That's a big problem. If you're holding fucking AMC stock or Cinemark or anyone, you're in trouble right now because of the movie industry, not because of the theaters themselves. It's not that they're not making the right adjustments or whatever. It's because they can't put asses in seats because the production quality isn't there. So I'd like to see that ramped up, right? And the longer this strike holds off, the longer it is going to be before we get those new releases and we get this. Look, if you haven't figured out yet that Go Woke gets broke, I don't know. We're not going to be able to help you. Disney, you might be on your own. I don't know. Thank God for these other movies. Like, think about it, Stevie. Like, if we didn't have Super Mario and Mission Impossible and Oppenheimer and Barbie, I mean, the Disney model is no longer sustainable as saying we're going to bring in $5-6 billion a year in the movie industry. Truly, AMC over-leveraged themselves in 2019 before the pandemic, not knowing the pandemic was coming, but yet it came, and they were over-leveraged when it happened. Bad timing, you can call whatever you want, but good.
So Super C wants me to ask you a question. He wants to know if you think Ape is a short squeeze play because it has
Ape itself.
It has over 10% short interest.
Look, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I believe that the conversion is going to go through. If I were someone right now, and I would say this to my best friend if he was investing, I'm just going to say it's my friend over here who has $5,000. He's got $5,000. He doesn't own anything right now. Okay, let's say he's out of the market. He's got $5,000 to invest. If I had to put his money in something, right this second, I would say buy Ape. That's what I would tell him. I would say buy Ape because the good chances are this is going to convert, and when it does, you'll make money on it. Right? That's what I would tell him.
I mean, the math is.
If I was being honest with my best friend, that's what I would say. Now, I can talk to you guys differently, but it's not going to be the truth. Right? I'm not saying I'm doing that. I haven't sold any AMC since the judge came around. I haven't sold any Ape. I'm still trying to make up my mind. I'll tell you this right now. I was asking T yesterday. I said, T, if you were me, what would you do if you had this kind of dry powder lying around? What would your move be? Like, I'm asking other people's opinions, right? I'm not just totally going on my own here. I'm trying to get the right answer. Super Steven says, great answer, Massalorian. Math doesn't lie. Look, I'm being as honest as I can. I'm not going to sell my AMC because I don't know what's going to happen. Would I buy more Ape if I had the money? Yes. Yes, only because I believe that eventually the judge is going to see that despite all of the arguments that were thrown out, no matter how good they were, because some of them were great arguments as opposed to why this shouldn't happen. And I agree with, and I think there's some valid points made as far as the legality of it. I think the judge is on the right track. So I'm going to go with that. Hey, JT Wisco, have a good night, man. Love you. 3-hour drive. Be safe. Go ahead, Stevie.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. I don't want to see people get hurt. You know, I just want them to be able to make up their own decisions in their own mind, their own portfolios, do what you got to do, right? Leave me out of it. I don't care. Why does what I do with my money anybody's business? That's not saying that I did anything. I'm just saying that that's where I'm at.
I'm just, if someone was asking me today for my opinion on what I think is going to happen, that's what I would give them. I mean, I'm not going to bullshit. There is no point coming out here if you're going to lie to the people that are tuning into your show. There's just no point. You might as well just stay home. Don't bother coming
Right.
on. Don't bother. And Pam says, do whatever you want with your money. Kryptonian says, no, just keep adding to Palantir. By the way, congratulations to you guys who made me on PLTR. And I talked about this with Tony earlier. You know, we were talking about PLTR, and I saw someone last night was getting mad because Maggie made money on Palantir. I'm like, how could you be mad at anyone in retail who takes advantage of the market? Yeah.
exactly.
I'm like, good for Maggie. Like, I want Maggie to rape those people. Yes. But yeah, and I think, and I know I agree with you and T about this, that like we want this thing to come to an end, right? Look, the stock market's always going to be there. It's not going anywhere. So we need to start talking about other things, other ways we can make money in this industry. Because we're not going to keep an audience if we're just constantly talking about losing play. Not that AMC is a loser. We haven't lost yet. I haven't sold yet, so I haven't lost anything. But I do want to talk about other plays that can make us money and other plays that I think that are invaluable to talk about that I think will be a basis point that we can launch the next meme stock craze from, right? Or whatever it is that this generation feels like is an important thing to developing and pushing humankind forward, whether it's chat GP2 and GT and AI or information gathering, whatever it is, whether it's a conspiracy theory or whether it's a good thing that they're doing for society. If we can make money of it as retail investors, let's exploit it, right?
What's up, Dana? How are you tonight, honey?
Hey, Dana. What's up, baby girl? Hold on. Let's see here. BSKA says China's stock have taken a beating recently. Might could be a good take to swing in position. You holding any Chinese stocks right now, Stevie?
No.
I'm holding Neo still. I still have Neo.
I'm holding very few things. I'm in a couple bad weed stocks, not SNDL, but ones that I like to sell options on. But it moved out of my profit range, so I'm not happy with that at the moment. But it's just sitting there waiting.
Oh, really?
But weed's getting hammered lately.
Okay. All right. I see Billy87 in the chat. Dana's here. What's up, baby girl? Pam the Trader, Gorilla Gardener. All right, I just want to make sure I get a couple people here. Let's see. The new hype is LK99, the room temp semiconductor just discovered. I haven't heard anything about that. Have you? LK99? Semiconductor?
Don't know who that is.
Okay. Someone says, Billy says, what do you guys think about UPST? Hang on.
I'm going to look right now.
Oh, well, so they're at $68 right now, but isn't UPS supposed to go on? Oh, it's Upstart. Upstart, not UPS. I'll tell you one thing. What is Disney at right now?
I don't know. I don't know much about Upstart, to be honest.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither, Steve. Like I'm following all the stocks that affect the market with AMC, unfortunately, right now, because I'm so wrapped up in this whole goddamn play. You know?
It looks good. It looks like it got some information, earnings, and then it took off. So I don't know much about their earnings, but it was probably positive earnings because ever since it had its earnings call back on 5/9, it's up. So that's what I see on Upstart.
Zach says, quit the AMC, move on, jump the meme TUP. Hey, look, I still don't believe at this point right now AMC is a meme stock. If you think AMC is a meme stock, I think you're very heavily mistaken, because retail, I think, owns this stock. I think we have for a long time. Maybe once over. Who knows? I don't know what the exact number is of how many shares retail owns, but I know that people in my chat, and most of them are holding over 1,000 shares. And sometimes I have 200 people in that chat. You look beat, Stevie. You ready to go to bed?
I am. I've been getting up.
All right, I'll let you
early.
go. Let me let you go. I'll cut you.
Johnny, have a good one.
You too, brother.
Good
Love
night.
you. Have a
Good night, everybody.
Man, I lost all my partners. All right, let's go. Now that I'm alone, let's go finish the rest of that conversation with Patrick Bet David about Larry Fink. I think it was interesting what he said. Hang on, and then we'll talk about it.
Strategy on how to fight that. No problem. You got a kid in school who's a bully. He's bigger than you. He keeps bullying you. You have a strategy on how to beat the guy. You take a year, jiu-jitsu 2 years, this, that. Boom. One fight, he knows, I'm never going to touch Joe again. Screw this thing. I'm not doing this no more, right? There is a play to it. When you have this much, Joe, 88% of S&P 500 companies, that is a form of a monopoly. If I'm a president, whether it's a Trump or whoever else goes out there and does it, our monopoly law in America is 50%. They say 50%. Like if you tie and said, at what point is it 50%? I've done calls with the FTC. Like we had one of our guys' technology we were using. The FTC called and said, hey, we want to have a call with you because they're thinking about buying this other technology company and we're worried it's going to be a monopoly. So we had the call, okay? At the end of the call with us, with a bunch of different people, we said, we love their product, we love their product. That deal didn't end up happening, okay? The monopoly law. Some of these guys are influencing it. But they say 50% is a monopoly law. Do you know how many people in America have an iPhone versus Droid? You know what the numbers, market shares in America with iPhones?
I think it's like 60.
58%, 60%. Yeah. That is already a monopoly. But who's knocking on the door of Apple? Tim Cook saying, hey, Tim, you got 58%. That's breaking a monopoly law. Nobody is. I think someone's got to break apart. You know, in 1993, I don't know which senator it was, these guys that were trying to get the defense contractors to be better at the pricing, what they were charging, because they were overcharging DOD, and DOD people don't know what the hell is going on. They're like, yeah, okay, how much? $68 million do it, $1.2 billion do it. I'm not going to over-negotiate the money. They took 51 defense companies, and they brought it down to only 5. It's only 5 companies right now when you want to buy anything. Think about that. So defense contractors is 5. We know how these guys make money. Earlier, you know, I was asking you a question, why do you think vaccine? And you're like, Pat, that's how they make their money, right? I mean, if you and I run a hotel, rooms are empty, we're not making money. We need people to stay in the rooms. If you and I are running a hospital, we need people on the beds to make money.
Yeah.
If there's no people on the beds, we ain't making money. If these 5 contractors are fighting for $744 billion, what do they want more of? Wars. They want more people dying. You know the Papa John's saying, better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's. Mm-hmm. You know, these guys is more wars, more people dying, more profits, defense contractors, right?
Didn't Lindsey Graham say that the Ukrainians would fight down to the last man? I think that was his wording. By the way, just in case we're not caught up with history, just in case, we're going to play this. Hopefully, if you're watching the live stream, you'll see this. Hang on, folks. Here we go.
I come to you with a message of leave-taking and farewell.
This speech did not get very much attention. When a new president is coming to power, as John Kennedy was, the spotlight was not on Dwight Eisenhower.
We have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions.
There was a feeling at the time that this must have been written by some speechwriter who just sneaked into the speech.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwanted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
3 months ago, we got contacted by a family up in Minnesota saying that we have documents from Malcolm Moose. He was responsible in part for drafting the military-industrial complex speech.
These new papers give us written evidence that this was not just some caprice of Eisenhower's or something by some speechwriter.
You see the evolution of a speech from May 1959 to 1961.
And he wanted to give this speech for a long time, 2 years.
Our military organization today bears little relation to that known of any of my predecessors in peacetime, or indeed by the fighting men of World War II or Korea.
There was one person in Dwight Eisenhower's life whom he really confided almost everything to, and that was his brother Milton.
There's one particular document where the speechwriters had already drafted their version of this speech, only to see Milton come along and totally revamp what had already been written.
When Milton Eisenhower was taking notes and writing things on the drafts of these speeches, the speechwriters knew that it wasn't Milton talking, it was Ike.
The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist.
He would see magazines with advertisements for some, new warplane or some, and he got so angry he'd throw it into the fireplace of the Oval Office because he felt that defense spending should not be something that would be encouraged by companies who are seeking commercial gain.
We must never...
Dude, shout out to Eisenhower for having the balls to give this speech back when he did, huh? Man, I'm gonna finish it just because it's very poignant what he says, I think.
It shows that the farewell speech would be made to Congress. But yet, President Eisenhower decided, no, he was going to address the people.
Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together.
One test of how well a president speaks is how long the speech lives. Here we are 50 years later, we're still talking about this speech.
Now, on Friday noon, I am to become a private citizen. I am proud to do so. I look forward to it. Thank you, and good night.
All right, I'm gonna play one more thing. This is from Kennedy.
3 days before he took the oath of office, Eisenhower, who was the outgoing president, gave what is probably the most important speech in American history, which was, where he warned against the military-industrial complex. We can't be attacking. I don't like what Cash was doing down there, but it's not the United States' job to dictate what kind of governments other countries have. He said, well, you can't use the U.S. military, and they ended up bringing those guys over with United Fruit boats. And in the middle of it, in the night, they came to him and said, they're getting wiped out each, and you need to send in the military and invade. And he said, we're not going to. 3 days before he took the oath of office, Eisenhower, who was the outgoing president, gave.
It's incredible. It's incredible to me. It's incredible to see how close we came to war back then, huh? I mean, we were this close to war. All-out war. Lucy, how you doing tonight? Gorilla Gardner, what's up? She says, Mass, what do you think of Vivek Ramaswamy? Listen, Vivek, I think he has a very poignant message. I think he's on top of his game. He knows what's going on in this country right now. He knows how most Americans feel. I would say the majority of Americans who want to save this country, this constitutional republic. He keeps talking over and over again about constitutional republic, over and over and over. Every post I see from him on Twitter or wherever, he is talking about the original government that the founding fathers tried to institute that has now been revamped, right? And we have an actual free society. Well, we did up until recently. But Vivek is talking, he's talking my language. I think he's talking a lot of our languages, right? I mean, if you guys listen to what Vivek is saying, he's basically saying you come to a point in life where you can fight and you have just as much of an opportunity as everyone else. You just got to put in the work. Listen, if it's not me on here tonight, there'll be someone else out here trying to get your attention. And for me, this isn't a business thing anymore. I mean, it never really was, honestly. This has always just been a thing of like, I can come on and not be radicalized by the mainstream media. I'll have an outlet to release my anxiety and my rage, not unleash it on the public. Lupe, how you doing, my friend? Good evening. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you, man. Diamond Gal is in the house. Diamond Gal says, I would so vote for Yuka and Fu. I would vote for Yuka and Fu too. If they're going to stop the war, that's my ticket. Mike says, Trump JFK would make their head spin. That is a ticket they do not want to see. You think RFK would run with Trump? Paul says, is Amway safe? I don't know, man. But Lupe, thank you again, man. Much love. Andrew says, this is very interesting. A ton of complaints today about FTDs. The New York Stock Exchange sends a canned Twitter response. No shares have been made since 11 a.m. Coincidence? Maybe. On the NYC's page. All right, let me get back to these. BBD says, I got a bomb BOMB Massalorian. BBD, what's up, man? Glad to see you. Jenna's in the house. Jenna said I'd vote for Yucca and Fu. Do we have to make a Yucca and Fu campaign poster? Jared Lightson says, I think so. Adam says, Mass. Vote for Fuka in 2024, says Billy87. Hang on, Adam. I got your chat here. Adam says, Mass, I'm the same way. Every dollar spent on AMC and Ape, on gold and silver, and donated to Trump 24, it's like a bullet spent into the heart of the deep state. Yeah, Adam, man. I mean, look, we are in a fight for the soul of this country. I believe that, truly. Like all of us, me, you, everyone in the chat right now, everyone who's live right now, we truly believe in a free market, in a free country. I'm going to keep fighting for that. I said tonight, if I have to come back and run for Congress, I fucking will do it. If that's what it takes to get legislation passed, so be it. Although I would never want to do that because I just feel like I would go there and get corrupted because it seems so corrupt. It's like, man, somebody's got to do it. Like, somebody has to do it. Just take on the pain. As Mass, others never answered your question on the housing market. What do you think will happen? I know many believe a crash, but what's the time frame in your opinion? So, Danny, here's what I can say. I don't know too much about the housing market as far as like the housing market. Commercial real estate is in a lot of trouble. It's got to be. Every city I went to on this trip, the 15 cities I went to, I would say 40 to 50% of the businesses in the downtown area were closed, waiting for retail leases. That's a major problem for the small banks in this country that hold 80% of those mortgages. It's only a matter of time. So start planning. Mike says housing is still hot in Florida. I believe that. I believe housing is still hot in a lot of places. I think when it crashes, we're all going to feel it. I think 2008 will be a blip on the radar compared to when these bills come due. And again, I don't want to push you guys into a direction of, fearing that everything is going to fall apart and that, everything's going to crash. It's not going to be like that. We just got to be smart about our money and keep, pay attention to what's going on around us. That's all. Adam says houses are selling, but prices are falling. First Wave Crypto says housing market is next to go down. Prometheus in the house says the attacks on our constitutional republic are coming from every direction. Yeah, bro. Yeah. But the good thing is, man, there are people like you and myself and everyone in this chat right now who believe in fighting against it. So keep up the fight. Let's stick together and keep up the fight. Eventually, there will be a flashpoint where things will change, and we'll be a part of that change. As long as we keep pushing and fighting. I'm here with you guys. Mike says it's not fear, it's the truth. Yeah. Jared Lighting says they want us to forever rent. Hold on, I'm going to play something real quick. I thought it was interesting. We can listen to it for a second. I won't play it that long. But I thought it was interesting. So the woman who I'm about to pull up on the screen was just on Jimmy Dore's show. She's an author. She just wrote a book talking about the WEF and their plans going forward. Hang on one second. And we're obviously not going to watch the whole thing, but we'll watch a little piece. Hang on. Okay, here we go. Hang on. Hang on, peeps. This is You Will Own Nothing and Enjoy It.
Guest with us. It's Carol Roth. She's an American television personality. She's a best-selling author, entrepreneur, radio host, and investor who has appeared as a guest on Fox Business, CNBC, CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC. She was one of the judges on Mark Heavy Duty book during the trucker protests in Canada, right? So now let's remember what that was about. They weren't protesting medicine. The truckers were vaccinated at a higher rate than the general population of Canada. They were protesting authoritarian bull crap, and they were right. And the first thing they did was they called them Nazis and white supremacists, and then they shut down their bank accounts. And anybody who donated to them, they shut down their... So is this what this book is about how... well, let me just read can I just read the first paragraph from the book?
Yeah, Jimmy, this is yours. You can read the whole book if you want. I'll just stand by here. In fact, if you want to go on the road show for me, you can do whatever you want. I love it.
Okay. She says there's a war coming, a global war. You may be thinking about World War III, which at the time of this writing hangs in the balance with a certain probability. But I'm talking about a different war. This is World War F, a financial world war where you are effed. That sounds like my favorite Aussie YouTuber. Welcome to Destination F. Right? I love that guy. Historically, war has come about in a quest, not just for control over another country and its people, but also to overtake their economic resources. War is always economically rooted in some manner, and World War F, in that sense, is no different. So tell me World War F.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. I got to bring up this comment. Because Zach says civil war is coming. Zach, what do you mean by civil war? Can you elaborate on that? I'm just curious because a lot of people talk about civil war. I've heard all the different arguments for it. What is your argument for civil war? What are you basing that off of? And who were the two sides? Just curious. And you know, just go off the top of your head. Adam says, think Phoenix rising from the ash heap of history. America must. Super Steven says, what's up, y'all? Super Steven, what's up, man? How you doing, baby? Mike says, CBDC has already started. They just need to figure out how to package it to the public. And BBD says, not a civil war, a revolution. That's what I'm talking about, baby. BBD, you're on the same page as me, bro. How are we going to bring about that revolution without a civil war? That's the problem, right? How do we bring about the revolt without sparking a civil war? BBD says, sprinkled with some uprising and anarchy. I'm with you, bro. All right, hang on. We'll go back to that. We'll listen to her answer.
Yeah, so we're at a point in time where the global financial stakes are shifting. And I think it's hard for people in America who have seen America at the center of the global financial universe and lived through this incredible time period with immense prosperity and technological advancement to think that things could ever be any different. But if you're a student of history, you know that whoever's at the center of the financial universe doesn't last indefinitely. Before the US, it was the British. Before the British, it was the Dutch. And I would imagine
you guys understand that, right? We're not talking about bullshit. We're talking about history here. The Dutch came before the British, and then it was the United States, and they've all failed. Now it's our turn.
that if you somebody who was British at that point in time, you're probably like, oh, well, the British are always going to be at the center of the financial universe. But we're getting a little long in the tooth. It's been about 80 years. We have a huge debt load. We have these signposts all around the global economy that other countries are trying to get rid of their US dollars and take the US down to peg, and things are starting to break apart. So the people who are wealthy and well-connected see this happening. And if you're one of those people, do you just kind of go, well, you know, the status quo is changing. I hope it works out for me. Or do you go, oh no, Lord, I'm going to try to, make sure that I control every finite resource. I think it's not a big jump to figure out that they're going to do the latter. And so in trying to set themselves up for success, they are creating all of these barriers to wealth for us as individuals. And it's coming from inside the house. It's coming from the government and the Fed. It's coming from all these bad actors, whether it's the WEF or the UN or big businesses. And then it's coming from big tech. So we have all these different forces that we're at war with, and we're just all trying to hold on to the American dream as these financial stakes are shifting. So I wanted to empower people with all of the knowledge about what's going on, and of course, give them a plan to fight back.
And so, I mean, you talk about social credit scores in here, and you're talking about digital banking, and what's like, how do you impress upon someone? What's your elevator pitch to someone about what they need to know about your financial world and what's coming?
Yeah, well, something like social credit, I think people think about it in terms of their speech or maybe, a certain action being limited. But if you think about what happened during COVID, they went after people's social standing, right? If you didn't take the vaccine or you weren't wearing a mask or you just maybe even said, I'm.
And that is so true. They went after your social standing, nothing else. Remember that.
Not sure what's going on. They tried to laugh at you on social media. They may have taken a picture of you. They may have actually gone after your job, and we know lots of people lost their jobs. And in many cases, they went out after your actual assets. You mentioned our neighbors to the north, the truckers. They froze their bank accounts, but in the U.S., if you had a small business, they froze their business. This is something that is financial in nature as well. And so when you get the forces like social credit, like ESG, like Wall Street competing with you to purchase a house, even college holding people back, young people back from being able to participate in wealth creation opportunities. I think a lot of people understand like the symptoms, but they don't know what the actual ailment is. They don't understand what these forces are. And so if you don't understand what they are, you can't position yourself to make a change.
So why doesn't the establishment, and it seems like the government of the West are working in conjunction with the WEF?
Because they are. Understand that. What Jimmy's saying right now, he's not. This is true. No, they are working with them. They're in our cabinets already. And Klaus Schwab has stated that, matter of fact, many times. They have infiltrated our fucking cabinets. They're there. So let's not make any mistake about that.
And the WEF is famous for saying that you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. That's Klaus Schwab and the Great Reset. And they don't want you to own a house. Or why is that? Why don't they want individuals to own houses anymore? Because it seems like they're letting these big hedge funds, these big BlackRocks come in and they'll buy like a whole town and then rent out the town to people. So talk about that a little bit. What could possibly be in it for them to keep us from home ownership, and how are they doing it?
Yeah, first of all, this is something I've seen you all over social media talking about. So I'm thrilled that somebody of your caliber is bringing this to people's attention. But if you think about that phrase.
And great point. Yeah, thank you, Jimmy Dore, for bringing this out, because a lot of people aren't talking about it. So thankfully, there is one person out there, JD, talking about it. So thanks, Jimmy.
From the WEF, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. There's two important things embedded in that. One is the you'll own nothing. It's not will own nothing. They have included themselves in that, right? It's you. It's about you. They're not part of this non-ownership, and ownership is what gives people wealth. So if they wanted you to participate.
Yeah, why do they keep saying you will own nothing? Shouldn't it be will own nothing? Like the terminology is very important when you're talking about this, right? They keep saying you'll own nothing and be happy. How about we'll own nothing and be happy? That's what I'm not hearing, unfortunately.
In it, or if they wanted to be on equal footing with you, that part would be different. But there's also the you'll be happy piece, and they want people to buy into the concept psychologically that it would be so much easier if you just depended upon us and you didn't have to worry.
By the way, Jana, I don't know what those killer whales in the Mediterranean are any crazier than any other killer whales, but I did see the story, just so you know.
Something like a house, the largest asset on Americans' balance sheet that drives their wealth. Oh no, you don't have to worry about that. We'll fix the leak in your ceiling. Not understanding not only the implications for wealth, but the implications for freedom that comes from that. And I think that if you get people to buy into that psychologically, it's just easier for them to do that. So if you, let's say, what's happened over the past 15 years, you've had this crazy monetary policy that gave Wall Street all of this money, this cheap, easy, available money. They had nowhere else to deploy it. So they went, okay, we're going to go compete with you for a house. Before 2010, Jimmy, this did not exist. This is something that is new in the last 13 years. Now we have.
Understand that. That is something that is unbelievably true. Raise the market prices on the houses so much that only some of these large entities and enterprises and hedge funds can afford to buy the homes. And now you'll be renting from them.
Have more than 1 in every 5 homes that's being bought by a corporation. And the implications of that is not only a transfer of wealth from Main Street to Wall Street, but also think about it, that anything that they want to implement, whether it's social credit, you saying something on social media, or they don't want you to have a gas stove or whatever it is, how much easier is that to implement if you have a bunch of corporate landlords who can dictate what you can and can't do in that property versus the freedom that you have? So I really think it starts with that leading thesis that they want the power and the money as these financial stakes are shifting. And, if it's easier for them to affect, or these different rights or opportunities have to go by the wayside so they protect what is theirs, then they're willing to go in that direction.
Is there anything to, like, I don't know if this is too far out, but because of the just bringing like a, a big pyramid scheme basically, and now it's starting to collapse, is there some kind of like where, okay, we're going to have to lower everybody's standard of living to kind of cover over how we screwed up, you know? We're going to have to like deindustrialize all that crap. You hear about that? Is that just to cover over the fact they printed so much fake, well, didn't print it, but they made so much fake money, and now it's going to, you know, you can only do that so long before everything collapses. So it's like a managed collapse. Don't have another 2008 where then you get an Occupy Wall Street, which I think is what kicked off, you know, the paranoia of like, and now we'll just control everything. People look like they were getting real upset around that time.
And I would say now, compared to 2008, we're even more pissed. Okay, yeah, 2008 was a big problem, right? No doubt about it. Fucking whore.
Yeah, no, it's
2008 was a big problem, no doubt about it. But we got shafted again in 2021. Maybe even worse. 1796 Patriots in the house says, I guess it's better late than not at all. What's up? I see Floyd in the house. Devil May Rage. Real Rugged just jumped in here. What's up, all my people? How you doing tonight? Floyd, what's going on, man? Jen, I see Gorilla Gardener, Mike, Downing Gal in the house. All right, I'm going back to Jimmy. Here we go.
it's a brilliant insight, and I think there are different groups that are approaching it differently. Currency, which is basically currency, but with the exact opposite intention. Instead of money, they want to fully centralize it and basically be able to track everything that you do down to the additional dollar. So one of the
Okay, so let's understand that difference, right? As long as we're talking, let's understand that CBDC is something completely different than what they're talking about right now. This is CBDC, not cryptocurrency, not a Bitcoin. We're talking about something controlled by the federal government.
theses that I have is that they are going to cover up for all of this money printing and to try to get out of it. They're going to try to transition everybody to a digital dollar, and they are debasing the currency while they do that. So they may say something like, Jimmy, I'm going to give you 100 digital dollars for every dollar you give me. Or if you go to the store, they say, oh, well, a loaf of bread is only digital dollar, but it's 5 regular dollars. And because of the financial illiteracy in this country, people don't understand the concept of dollar debasement. They don't understand that the dollar is a proxy for your labor and your productivity. So all of a sudden they're like, oh, 100 digital dollars for every dollar, I'm going to be a millionaire. You know, it goes back to that 1970s Saturday Night Live skit that I referenced in the book with Dan Aykroyd, where he's like, wouldn't you like to have a $3 million house and a $10 million suit? You know, everyone's going to be a millionaire, because people don't understand that it's not about the headline number. It's about the purchasing power of your dollar. So I do think there are a lot of carrots they're going to use to try to get people to accept this digital currency that gives them, you know, just immense amount of control over, you know, your spending. If they want to quell inflation instead of managing interest rates, they just literally turn off access to your digital dollars. And that's one of the ways they're going to try and get out of this insane monetary policy, this $9 trillion in money that's been printed, that has, you know, created all of these issues for us here in the US and around the globe.
Just think about that for a second. Think about that. What we're talking about. We're talking about $9 trillion that's basically unaccounted for. It has no backing. There is nothing backing that $9 trillion. Stevie says Book of Revelation is starting to look that much more real. So Stevie, I saw something the other day on, I think Duncan Trussell and Rogan were talking about this in the Mark of the Beast. I thought it was interesting because I haven't looked very deeply into Revelation so much as to fiscal and monetary policy. Because, I mean, we're talking about the Bible and we're talking about the stock market, right? Something that's happening every minute of the day compared to something that was written 2,000 years ago. But if I can find anything, any advantage or edge, if it comes out of the fucking Bible, I don't care. Just give it to me. I don't care who's got the info. So if the Bible is stocking up W's on as far as prophecy goes, I'll keep riding with that. As far as monetary policy goes, All right, here we go.
So, just why do you think this isn't part of the book? But why do you think I know why they sent over $100 billion to Ukraine at the snap of a finger without any debates or op-eds about it, because that's corruption. I know what that is. You can see that's why, if they want to spend $8 billion sending kids to community college, we got to talk about that for about 10 years. And we're still talking about it. We've been talking about it since Barack Obama got elected. So that was that's 16 years ago or close to.
Well, think about what they have done in terms of transferring wealth from young people to colleges and college administrators. What they've done has been incredibly effective for that. The government is the largest predatory lender in the entire world. They tie up minors, 17-year-olds.
Think about that. The United States government is the biggest predatory lender in the world.
And people with 5 and 6 figures in debt for these degrees that don't produce a return on investment, that basically transfers that wealth to the colleges that have no skin in the game. They got rid of any underwriting. They got rid of any bankruptcy opportunity. And so not only are the colleges getting richer and the administrators getting richer, but you have these young people who are coming out who they are making more in terms of income on a little bit of a basis, but their balance sheets are completely blown up, and they have so much debt that they can't even think about buying a house if those housing prices were already inflated and they had to compete with Wall Street. They can't think about making other investments because they have just been sold a bag of goods, and the colleges have absolutely no skin in the game. So
it's unbelievable, right? She's 100% dead on. By the way, if you are millennial or Gen Z in the chat right now, and you're trying to look for a home, I would love to know how that's going. And Mike, I will put a link to the video in the description. 100%. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great take by this woman.
They don't even need to change the stakes around. Their little scheme, enriching their cronies, is working very, very well for them.
I feel like the president with this teleprompter. Hey team. No. Hi team. I'm sunny delighted to share.
So if they, what did they get out of starving America, right? Like, so we're right now paying the Social Security and the pensions and the health care and the payroll. The paychecks for the government workers in Ukraine. If we stop that, Ukraine would stop. You would be over, and the war would be over. But so why wouldn't they then invest that? So if they send $200 or $200 billion to you for corruption, why wouldn't you do that for your own country? So at least people aren't as upset about you spending that money in Ukraine. Why wouldn't you turn around and spend that $100 billion in America to say, like, end homelessness or something? Why do you think that is? Do you have an opinion?
Yeah, because I don't think that they actually care about those things. The people who are attracted to politics are the last people that you would ever want in place. Like, if somebody actually wants that position, it's the last person you should put in that position. It's the people who are kicking and screaming like, no, don't put me in politics. I don't want any piece of that. Those are the people that we should be bringing in. They want the power and they want the wealth. And the way they believe they get that is by expanding the government's purview and having more opportunities to make these deals with their cronies and legally launder money, right? That's what Congress is. It's political theater and legal money laundering. So we're at a point where we have about 125% public debt to GDP. They're on the precipice of, okay, how are we going to continue to expand this government? Because raising taxes isn't particularly popular. They can print more money, but we know it basically debases the purchasing power and causes inflation. That's been politically unpopular. Or they can roll back some of their promises that they know they can't fulfill. We know that doesn't work well. Just look at France when they tried to raise the retirement age from 62 to 64.
All right, I'm going to bring it home. I'm going to go to the end of the video so you guys can get a take on how they end this, because it is very long. It's like a 40-minute video. So I'm going to scrape it to the front. All right, here we go.
And then the people I call the useful.
Trying to block. This is distraction. Greta Thunberg is a distraction.
Didn't she support? Didn't they have her like meet Zelensky?
She met Zelensky. Yeah. She had pipeline being broken, being blown up. by the people she's in bed with. She's never going to protest the Ukraine war. In fact, the biggest emitter of carbon is the U.S. military, and she's never once protested a U.S. military base being built, but she happens. And if they bottom 80%, if we want something to happen in legislation, it never is reflected in legislation. It's only the upper 10%. So we don't have free markets. We have rules that are written by corporations to protect the corporation against everybody else. And
I would offer it's not even the top 10%, and it's not even just people who are wealthy. It's just a smaller circle of people who are elite and connected, trying to do things for their own benefit. And I have no problem with merit-based inequality, right? Beyonce is an amazing singer. She should get paid more. Michael Jordan, amazing basketball player, should pay more. But when the government and the Fed are picking winners and losers, and like you said, doing a historic transfer of wealth from Main Street to Wall Street, those are the things that everybody should be just completely outraged. And the fact that every time it's packaged as we're trying to help people. If you wanted to help people, you would make it easier for them to create and retain wealth. You would be removing the barriers that prevent people from achieving that and holding on to that American dream.
Is any of this making sense to you guys? Listen to what she's saying. Right? They're doing the opposite of what they should be doing as a federal government.
The government has, as you know, politicians and a handful of big corporate entities that basically are doing everything for their benefits to the detriment of everybody else. And that's why people need to better understand these forces, because, you know, it's hard to try to make the change, you know, if you don't know where it's coming from, and you can't, you may have identified part of the issue, but if you don't fundamentally baseline understand the full issue, then again, you end up with, like you said, the Bernies and the AOCs, the people who say that they're fighting for the middle and working class, not doing so.
And I like what you said. I don't listen to what they say. I watch what they do. I started doing, again, COVID was a big eye opener for me. And so climate change, just like COVID was used to control you and to bankrupt you and transfer wealth upward, so is climate change. And so the people who say that they're afraid of climate change are doing nothing to fight climate change themselves, but they want you to make all the sacrifices to fight climate change. But it's never really fighting climate change. It's just about controlling you. And so this Greta Thunberg, she's never going to protest the Nord Stream pipeline being blown up by the people she's in bed with. She's never going to protest the Ukraine war. In fact, the biggest emitter of carbon is the U.S. military, and she's never once protested a U.S. military base being built, but she will go sit down and try to pretend she's trying to block. So this is distraction. Greta Thunberg is a distraction.
Didn't she support?
By the way, what do you guys think? Thunberg an distraction? I believe so. Without a doubt, Greta Thunberg is a complete distraction from what's really going on in the fucking world. I mean, she is propped out there every day. This little 21-year-old girl, however old she is, has no clue what the fuck's going on in the real world. But they keep rolling her out there. It's unbelievable.
Didn't they have her like meet Zelensky or something?
She met Zelensky. Yeah. She went and had a big meeting. Why is a environmentalist going to have a meeting with a warmonger, a war pig, right? And we get some more green bombs or something. Again, this is so do you see this happening where climate change is being, like, the first thing they're doing is shutting down Dutch farms? And I'm like, well, that wouldn't be the first thing I would do to fight climate change. So I know this is a scam.
Right. So I call this in the book, there's a section called the Hollywoodification of crisis. And I sort of imagine John Hamm in his Mad Men role sitting around with table being like, how do we extract wealth from a whole group of people? I'm like, oh, I've got this, incredible idea here. We'll have this thing and the stakes are huge. We'll call it climate change. And we'll have these good looking people, tell everybody it's an existential threat. And then you've got all these profiteers who are making tons of money, and you kind of, go down the line. Reality is, going back to actions, is that if people thought there was truly a climate emergency, they would act entirely different. The people who are telling you the sea levels are rising.
Yeah, no offense, but John Kerry, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris all have summer homes with no with no solar panels on their roofs. So what does that tell you about the people who are supposed to be protecting the climate? If they're not getting on board, are they really that scared of what's going to happen? I don't know.
Oceanfront mansions. The people who are telling you not to fly are flying around on private jets and having steaks while they're telling you meat is bad for the environment. And again, we can all see the numbers that even if you believe that certain things are bad for the environment and that we as humans
1796 Patriot. I know that. I want everybody else in the audience to know that.
this opportunity to control them, you would go to like, okay, well, here are the most important things. You've got these polluters, China and India, we would crack down and we would get tough on them. We wouldn't care about like Carol's gas stove that she turns on 2 times a year to make pasta because all she knows how to do is boil water, right? Like they're not the actions of people who actually care about climate. They care about control. They care about profiteering. And again, this is just a giant scam that probably started with good intentions because we all want to be good stewards of the environment and gets co-opted into us having this profiteer class and then the people I call the useful idiots.
And again, this is also happening, and Vivek has talked about this. This is the Trojan horse that is the social aspect of ESG being implemented for the economic part, right? So understand that.
They get ROE, return on ego. They get to put a nice emoji in their bio. They get a pat on the head.
Not return on investment, return on ego.
Maybe they get to go to the White House for a photo op or something. And because they get, this kind of tangible, you're with the cool kids group, then they're the ones running cover, although they have no idea what they're talking about. And so it's important for us to call out this nonsense when people are being hypocritical or when there's an actual issue, to just destroy that with reason and fact over and over and just say, I just reject this argument and I reject your actions. And at some point in time, enough people will be saying that.
Are you surprised that all the people that you do TV shows with, everybody in the corporate media went along with Fauci and the lies of COVID? Aren't you surprised about that?
I was surprised.
Are you guys surprised about that? Or does it make sense? Mike says, love me a good porterhouse. Man, that sounds good right now, Mike. But honestly, are you guys surprised about the COVID reaction?
About, so remember in February of 2020, I had this husband as this virus was taking hold in China and Europe, and we were just like role playing. We're like, what if they just shut down the economy for 2 weeks? Do you think they could do that? And we were both like, no, there's no way that people would go along with that. Like, that's ridiculous. But then again, the way they went about it was so clever. They didn't shut down Zurn. They didn't shut down your grocery store. They didn't shut down Wall. If you couldn't get your Amazon deliveries, if you couldn't get your groceries, and if they had let Wall Street fall instead of supporting them, this would have been over in 2 weeks.
Think about that. Think about that. Think about what she just said. I'm going to play it one more time.
People would go along with that. Like, that's ridiculous. But then again, the way they went about it was so clever. They didn't shut down Amazon. They didn't shut down your grocery store. They didn't shut down Wall Street. If you couldn't get your Amazon deliveries, if you couldn't get your groceries, and if they had let Wall Street fall instead of supporting them, this would have been over in 2 weeks. We would have gone to a mitigation stance, but they didn't do that. They took all the people who weren't well connected and they penalized them and they picked the winners and losers. And like you said, the people who were already wealthy and well connected got a huge direct and indirect benefit and made all kinds of money. So they loved it. The people who were the power grabbers in government got more control and got to act out their fantasies. So, why would they ever want that to end? They held out as long as possible.
Hunker down.
The fact that the first thing that was done was that the Fed supported Wall Street under the guise of an emergency.
Yes.
And then a couple months later, June 5th of 2020, the NASDAQ hits an all-time high. You're telling me that this is an emergency and they kept their policy in place for like another 9 months? It just tells you everything you need to
She's
know.
right.
And so we just need to keep saying these facts to people over and over again.
Well,
she's fucking 100% right. This thing would have been over in 2 weeks had it affected Wall Street like they thought it would have. They would have ended this thing and nipped it in the bud. But instead, they went a different direction. Now we're living with the consequences.
they made a really great, safe, and effective vaccine.
Oh,
So
yeah. By the way, of course, the vaccine is safe and effective. I would never say anything different. You should definitely take multiple vaccines if you haven't yet. It's the only way to keep my video monetized. But definitely don't do that if you're still listening.
It's a valid point. It's a valid point. It's the problem. And, think about that. The fact that, you had to acquiesce to the and put something into your body, whether you wanted it or not, with that profiteering motive potentially behind it. I mean, it's a frightening outcome, just the time we live through, but what that precedent that sets for the future is also very staggering.
Well, everybody should check out her new book, You Will Own Nothing, Your War with a New Financial World Order and How to Fight Back. There it is, Carol Roth. Thank you for writing this book.
All right. So I just wanted to show you guys that real quick. If you're wondering what's coming down the road with ESG and the WEF, I know most of my listeners already know very well what they are. We'll be talking about it more in depth as I talk about my road trip and what I discovered traveling the country. And the fourth turning, it's definitely happening. No doubt about it. The fourth turning is definitely upon us. There's just no other way to really describe it. If you'd seen what I'd seen, and you guys, I went from the East Coast to the West Coast to every small major city you can imagine. And I heard the same things over and over again. There are things that I heard exasperated by everyone or exacerbated by many people about things they want to push for and things that they want to take away. And they were very clear and concise. Old Doge is in the house. Old Doge, how you doing tonight? Says, good morning, Mass. You taking over late night? I don't know, man. It's early here on the West Coast, but I'm up with you guys just because a lot going on. There's a lot going on in the world. I'm going to try to get down to a set schedule with you guys and talk about news things and things you might want to discuss. But yeah, man, I'm just here hanging out. I had Tony here earlier. I had Mediocre Trader here earlier with me. We were talking about AMC and a couple other things with the market. And now we kind of divulged into the World Economic Forum and how you will own nothing and be happy. I don't know, man. We got to fight. And I feel like, I know everyone watching this stream right now is a patriot. They love this country. And we love our fellow countrymen. We all want everyone to be able to succeed. And I'm not going to let some jerk off over in Germany tell me how to live. That's for damn sure. You got another thing coming, boys and girls. BSKA says the generation after this that will live through picking up the pieces will be strong mofos. So BSKA. Oh man, I'm tired. Headphones are falling off. Yeah, to me it seems like right now, and maybe this is just me because I'm the offspring of a boomer. I don't know. You guys tell me. You're in the chat right now. We got 200 people in the chat. How many of you guys were born between 1965 and 1981? Just curious. If you were born that time, put a 1 up in the chat. From 65 to 81. If you were born in that, how long is that? 17 years? If you were born in that time period, can you put a 1 in the chat? I'm just curious to see how many people are going to put a 1. Okay, here they come. Here they come. Pam says I'm not telling you my age. Pam, you could give us an estimate between 65 and 81. You could still be as young as, what, 38? Okay. So we are almost all there. Everybody in this fucking chat right now. We're all on the same wavelength, guys. We are all talking the same thing. We're all experiencing the same problems. Yeah, you guys are all in the same boat as me. If there's one thing we have in common. See, Pam came through with the one. Thanks, Pam. Jan is here with a one. Prometheus, Adam. All right. Mike, Hilsey. Adam says 74. Adam, we can squeeze you in. Do you want to be a Gen Xer? But they say that we are the generation holding millennials and the boomers from completely killing themselves or killing each other. BSKA says youngest would be like 42. Sir Hodla said Mass was born in 56. Sir Hodla, I still love you, man. Listen, I don't care if you were born in 26. I'm still a fan. Andrew's older than dirt. Floyd says Pam age is smoking hot. Love you, Pam. So if you saw my Twitter the other day, I put this post up that 1796 Patriots referring to. Hard times make strong men. Easy times make weak men. Yeah. Listen, there's not everyone in this generation X that's weak. There are some of us out here who are going to continue to fight. I even said it tonight. I said, if I have to fucking run for Congress when I come back, I'll do it just to get some damn legislation in the office. I don't know if I can win, but I would try just to pass the legislation. I mean, somebody's got to do it. Somebody. Adam says, I'm definitely Gen X. Jared Lighting says, we are the glue genennials. All right, so I've heard a lot of this too. Where's Jared Lightings? He says, we are the... Yeah, I've heard that. The Xennials. Xennials? Holding the two generations together? So Huddle said, I'll vote for you. All right, so Huddle. Just, you got to make sure, there's got to be some stipulation in my contract. I can't be, what's the word? You know, I can't get sucked up into the swamp. I just got to get there, get the legislation on the floor, and get out. I don't want to stay too long. Andrew says, run with Tulsi or Christy Noam. I'll be your campaign manager. I would run with Tulsi or Christy. I love a strong woman. All about it. 1796 Patriot says, everyone has to do their part. And you know what? Here's the thing. I don't feel like I'm any more special than anyone else. I'm just the same as you guys. I'm fucking no different. Everyone in this chat right now, there's nothing special about me that makes me any different. I just turn the camera on and I have a computer. We're all feeling the shins. You guys are in the same exact boat I'm in. Janice says, absolutely not voting for Kenny G's puppets. No. 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 Definitely not. All right, guys. We're running up on 3 hours and 15 minutes for a live. Whoa, this is long. All right, I'm going to start wrapping it up now. I want to say thank you to Tony and to Stevie, Mediocre Trader, Tony Denaro for coming on and talking to the audience and showing some love. Thank you, everyone who joined me tonight. There was like over, at one point, like 350, 400 people in the chat. Thank you guys so much for all the support, all the love. I'm really, it's really amazing. But I keep coming on here because I'm a shareholder with you guys. And really, I'm just a concerned citizen at the end of the day. Like, that's all I am. Really, honestly, that's all I am. Pamela, thank you so much. I love you, doll. Jana, 1796 Patriot, FINK. I saw in the chat. Andrew, all my mods. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate the audience. I can't do this without you guys. And I'll be with you tomorrow. God bless everyone. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much. Have a good night. And we'll see you tomorrow. Night, guys.